Hello and welcome to Chatz, the television podcast, season 17, Chatz Away. The show where two best friends are watching the Netflix original series, The OA, for the very first time. My name is Allen, and I'm joined by the ghost inside of my desk. It's Magellan.
Rumble, 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 rumble.
It's trying to send a message. What could it possibly be saying?
And then I shake the desk so much that a picture of you falls on the ground, and then a post-it note, and then then wait, you gotta say what you think is being said as I'm doing it.
It's me. I wrote like grape tomatoes, cherry tomatoes on the thing. It was a grocery.
Yeah.
I cherry tomatoes.
Oh, it stops rumbling.
Oh, it's a red eye. He wants me to take a red eye flight to Cancun. I got it.
The desk just starts nodding.
The desk. Oh my god. Magellan, that was good work. That was good cluing.
Exactly right.
I'm excited as we continue into the OA season 2 to talk about game design and puzzle design. I feel like we're gonna get into some neat little puzzles. And who else?
Some essays in there for sure.
Oh yes, some good ones. We needed a puzzle master themselves to join us. One of the pillars of the Chatz OA community. Here he is, everybody. It's somebody who has to explain to us all why exactly there's a psychic octopus on this show. It's Ryan from Spit Bun Polish and the Yum Yum podcasts.
Why is there an octopus with psychic abilities in this show, you may ask? Because hentai exists, Alan. Now let me tell you a little bit about the history of that. It's artistic. No. In all seriousness, hello everyone. It's me, Ryan. I'm back again.
Ryan.
It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been here, but you've been covering the OA, which I very much am thrilled by, and it was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting it, but then Alan dropped some hints, and they were all ones I knew. I was like, bang, 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 bang. I got it. I'm the winner of the game. Not the game that they're playing in the second season of the OA, but I'm very excited to be here. I'm a huge fan of the series itself. I watched it a few years ago for the first time. Not when it came out. I missed it. I think like most people, I just didn't hear about it. It was just kind of swept away. I will say, this is true. Swept away. I think this is true. I think Sense8's marketing was just so huge that it kind of washed away any other competition.
Washed away.
Even though it didn't, we keep doing it. But even though that show didn't succeed either, it's just one of those things where whatever genre of show you're into on these algorithms, they will cater to you, but then there'll be ones that's like, I would have loved to have seen that. And they just go, we didn't know. We didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know you love Jason Isaacs hopping around different realities. We didn't know. There's 2 other shows that do that in the same year. Do you want those?
Other shows in the same year. True.
Is it weird that it's not even twice? 3 times Jason Isaacs has hopped realities in TV shows within the span of 2 years. Well, one of them's on the list for you to cover.
Yeah, one of them.
And the other's a spoiler, but it is very funny that there are 3 shows pretty much in a row where he's just like, oh, could I do a different accent in each reality, or could I wear glasses, or
I have a funny beard?
Can I be a good guy? Could I cut off a beard? Could I cut off someone's head? One of these things. But no, I'm a huge fan, and second season of the OA I think is fantastic. It's what I really love about the series. I love Kareem. He's one of my favorite characters in modern television. I would watch a whole show of his detective stories, honestly, in his weird kind of alt universe setting, where it's just, there are just like little technological differences enough for you to be like, oh, is this how it works over there? I love it. But though I'm so thrilled to be here. Of course, Jason Isaacs mentioned before just now. He's great. This is one of my favorite roles of his. He's just such a eloquent piece of shit. And this was my first exposure. I don't know about you two, but with the works of Brit, Marling and gang. I had not encountered her before as an actress or as a creative force, but then I'm aware of her now, and I'm aware of this group of people, like the directors and writers, that they kind of carry over for other projects. So yeah, very, very enticed by the show, and I've just been keeping track with them. Hence, we on Yum Yum Podcast did coverage of Star Trek Starfleet Academy, and my heart breaks every episode where it says Brit Marling in the opening credits. I'm like, who's she in it? And she's the voice of the flat, lifeless computer. And I'm like,
That's
why
right.
the fuck would you waste her?
You
Why
fools.
would you waste her?
At least have the computer do a Russian accent, if nothing else.
At least have her do a silly accent.
Please.
But no. No.
At least when Stephen Colbert is in that show, it's like he gets to do funny bits every single episode, and he doesn't.
When you say
you don't
funny,
see him. Yeah, he's the headmaster. Magellan.
when you say funny, he does a silly voice.
Yeah,
he does his silly.
voice.
Yeah, he does his old Colbert Report voice. Yeah,
That's great. So as you said, you watched the OA. You were part of the reason that we decided to cover it, because I know in our Discord years ago, literally back in like 2022, you're like, guys, I'm loving the OA. Great show, one of the best I've ever seen. And as we said in season 1, episode 1, we were looking for a show this season that was short but really engaging and had similar vibes to The Leftovers, and maybe even a little bit of Twin Peaksiness. And we kind of felt like we hit the nail on the head in doing our research. So that is proving itself more and more and more true every week. More Leftovers-y, more Twin Peaksy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the end of the second episode, it's like, oh yeah, this is
yeah.
we're at a nightclub doing some weird shit. This is where I want to be. Great.
Yeah.
I live here.
Yeah.
It's
so
great.
In today's discussion, we'll be talking about the OA season 2, episode 3, Magic Mirror. And after the breaks, the episode that Ryan specifically asked to be on, which we'll talk about later, is called SYZYGY. And starting things off, Magic Mirror was written by Nikki Paluga and Dominic Orlando, a rare non-Brit Zal script this time. This episode was directed by Andrew Haig and aired with the rest of season 2 on March 22, 2019. Magellan, can you tell me what happened in Magic Mirror, please?
In this episode, in Michigan, in that far-off land, that alternate universe of Michigan, Steve begs the gang to try jumping to another dimension, and a presence in Buck's mirror inspires an unlikely pilgrimage. What did we think of Magic Mirror?
Ryan, you'd like to go first as our guest?
I thought it was great. You'll be shocked to know that the other episode I picked specifically, but I had more notes on this episode. It's very characterful, and I thought it captures the themes of the show really well. Themes that you two haven't discussed as much, so I think this is a great episode to kind of tackle into that, because this is definitely an episode about faith versus rationality, faith, spiritualism versus the scientific, like all of these things that this show really gets into, and this episode is doing it with the other characters. It's not, it's not the OA versus HAP in those discussions. It is a group of young kids, young adults who are trying to figure themselves out and what they feel about the world. So I remembered this episode. I very much remembered it, but it was still a pleasant surprise with how rich it is. And I just love all of these characters. I even love like the side characters we meet in this episode. Goodwill Worker, what a great guy. That guy was just, he had attitude, and I'm like, yeah. So I had a blast with this episode. I was surprised, but I had a blast with it.
Alan, what about you? What did you think?
Damn, you scooped me there. I loved it. I really, really loved it. I felt so warm and happy being back with the gang in Universe A. I think we really needed this episode after episode between 2 and 4. I think it's placed perfectly in the season, both to like ground us in what's happening back and forth across the universes, and to just give us something deeply human and fun and like honestly fairly light. I mean, this kind of felt like a slightly darker like Spielberg movie or something. Like, oh, we're gonna like find out the magic in the mirror, and we're gonna go on this adventure, and we have this older woman with us, and like it just the vibes were right, and it felt exactly like what I needed to start my watching this week, because episode 4 kind of spun every single gear in my brain at once and asked me to deal with that. But no, I love this. I missed seeing Steve and the gang very much. What about you?
Yeah, what I really love about seeing these characters in this episode is the OA, her plan did not extend this far, right? Like she didn't really give a lot of thought to, okay, and once I die in front of them and go to another dimension, what will they do? Like that was not a consideration, it seems. And so we're going to these characters who, like, the show could very easily be like, that was season 1. Like, that was all the people in kind of that season and their side stuff. And now we're in this other place, and we've got Kareem, and we've got different versions of Homer and all these new side characters and stuff, and a mystery. So there, like, isn't really a need to go here from a kind of like the grandness of the narrative and like the exploring the unusual. But I really like that we look back at where we came from, because it gets us to think about, like you were saying, Ryan, kind of the ramifications of the fact that the OA has asked them to believe and to have faith. And then it's like, okay, well, I got to keep living. And what do I do with that? Like, do I keep believing in this? Why would I? Why wouldn't I? If I believe in it, what does that mean I must do? What do I owe to the people who I was in this like faith community with and who I formed bonds with? And do I want to preserve those bonds? So a lot of really cool characterful stuff amongst these characters who are like, hey guys, I don't think we're in the main plot of season 2. Like,
we got to get over there. There's like
Bad
shit
dimension.
happening.
I
the
feel like
bad
we got
dimension.
left
We
behind
suck.
in the shitty dimension. So yeah, I really liked it also.
There's a lot of meta commentary in this episode with the first season. Clearly direct examples with like the book stuff we will talk about, with the mass shooting stuff we will talk about. But again, it's back down to those themes. Like, we're back in this setting, and it's very much like season 1 again, in terms of like this spiritual, faith type of story, this found family story. But you're now seeing it from the people who aren't the OA's perspective more so. Like in the first season, the OA is such a grand character that you kind of don't get to fully think about as much, like the ramifications of her having left in the first place. Like, that's what her parents were about. And then in this season, we get to see it with the whole community of characters we spent time with in the first season. We get to see, okay, she's so charming, so magnetic, and when she leaves without really much consideration for the people she's left behind, what does it do? And this is what we see. And it actually makes me think about her parents more. And one of them appears in this episode, but it's just like very sweet in that way. But yeah, lots of like commentary about like what the show used to be versus what the show currently now is, which is good, because you two have talked about with the last 2 episodes that the show feels like a different show in a way. Like, by design, it's pivoted. But this is pivoting back and saying, why do we have to change? Why do we have to do that?
And what did changing do to the rest of the universe? Yeah.
Exactly.
I love these conversations between these characters saying, it's a common sentiment, I think, amongst folks who are in dire straits, like the A-Team is. I'm going to call them the A-Team for now for the sake of clarity. And they're like, are we in a bad dimension? And like, that's a really common sentiment, especially amongst like us living in the world today, and especially in the Trump administration. You're saying things like, did something go wrong? There is, especially after COVID, there was this sentiment comes up a lot. And to have a show that's like, yeah, you're in the other dimension, has cooler stuff going on. They have some, and they got problems over there too. They got crime and tragedy. Maybe that's what, like, maybe the season is trying to say overall, is like, yeah, we jumped, but like, is it really better?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the main
beauty to be had in our universe too. There's
way more joy. Yeah.
Maybe we're taking certain things, maybe we're taking certain things for granted in our universe. And these are not all of them. BBA is an older character, for example, but a lot of them, they're young people who still don't know who they are and the world around them. And so that sentiment of just like, this isn't who I'm supposed to be, is very prevalent, and it works great with these kind of fantastical themes and settings that this universe is in.
Yeah. And I think what's really cool about watching these characters try to make sense of what you're describing there is seeing them realize that they like have more tools than they thought they did to do that sense making. Because like, the OA, when she was here in this world, like we've been talking about, was such a force of personality where kind of like everything's bending around her objective
Yeah.
and her
Yeah.
story. And when she's gone, it's like maybe Steve can't be the OA, but Steve is like, oh, I can kind of like carry forward this understanding of the movements and like teach them to somebody. And now like my girlfriend knows them. Or Buck can be like, I don't need you to have faith in everything the OA said. Like, believe me, like I'm realizing that I can be someone who my own experiences are like a source of wisdom and knowledge, and there's like some solidarity building and relationship building that I can do as a person. I don't have to be this like angel.
Correct.
But each of these characters can kind of step into a piece of that when they need to. So it's cool to see these characters not just kind of like, what the heck is life, but also have more capacity to then act and make decisions and ask things of each other, and like kind of knit themselves back together into a community even when the OA is not there anymore. So that's pretty cool.
I think the OA as a show, my biggest worry going into season 2 is that we were losing this human element, because the B universe is so much about mystery and identity, and one of the other bigger themes I'm going to be talking about, especially in this episode 4, which is control. Like, who controls the direction that your life is going in? Is it dictated by who? And like, just coming back to this, and it felt very reassuring that like, yeah, we're still going to be with characters who seek meaning in their life, and this is like what the OA felt like it was about, and to reintegrate that into the B world plotline so elegantly felt, yeah, just like this restored my confidence in season 2 for sure. I went into episode 4 like, you know what, you guys, I trust you. You're handling it. You know what you're doing. with 4 episodes left.
No.
A good length episode, so don't worry too much.
Okay.
Oh, good. They're nice and beefy. Let's get into our brief recap though as we start talking. So the episode actually opens on OA's funeral, the A universe, confirming that this version's Prairie OA is no longer alive. And Steve and Jesse and all the gang are there, and we follow Steve and Jesse as they get pulled over from speeding away from that funeral. And there's this moment of like, speaking of how the OA has touched people, the cop essentially finding out who they are and going, yeah, I get why this is happening. Please drive safely. You guys have been through a lot, and like offering them a lot of grace. As Steve is like kind of reverting to his like angsty self again. Yeah, I think there's a lot of like community giving them kindness after the end of season 1, where it seemed like they were being shunned. It's like, no, people actually care about you guys a lot. And then it leads to us reintroducing French, because I think Steve invites everybody over and is like, oh, guys, we just got to do the movements, which confirms for us also that Steve now we have a new member of the A crew, which is his girlfriend, Angie, officially part of the crew. Michonne, you made a great note that they kind of burden her with a lot of exposition in this episode.
Yeah.
I loved Angie, by the way. I thought she was a blast.
Yeah, Angie's great. They give her a lot of lines where it's like, everybody knows about you guys doing the movements, and I saw it in this comment section, and it's like, just let Angie find a different way to tell me this information. But when she got to like kind of tell
Be
Steve
funny and stuff,
yeah, when she's like, just because I'm in your pants doesn't mean I'm the keeper of your pants. It's like, all right.
Yeah, I wrote that line down too. That was great.
Fantastic. I love her.
She's still an outsider. That's what's fun about her. Like, she's his girlfriend, but no one really knows her that well, and she doesn't know them well enough. But she's also outside enough to be like, "That's crazy." By the way, that's not
what you just said isn't normal.
Think like that. With all of them, including French. Like, this episode's really about French and Buck. I would say they're kind of like two of the main people we're focusing on. And French is presenting himself as like, I'm the rational one. I'm the normal one here. I'm thinking logically. But he says and does things in these conversations where someone like Angie, who's the true outsider, can just give the side eye and be like, that's not. No, you're just being immature just like the rest of them too. So don't think you're on the high ground.
No. I do have a really sad prediction about how things are going to go with Angie, because the movements require 5 people. Everybody else knows how to do the movements. we hear Steve in this first scene say, I taught Angie the movements. I think somebody else is going to be leaving this storyline before the end of season 2. And based on what we see in this episode, I have my own guess. I'm thinking Jesse's something with that drug plot line is going to go really south. Jesse confirming dealing with a drug dealer, getting oxycodone and all that. Because Jesse's like the least developed of the crew, it feels like the easiest to be like, we're just going to take Jesse out of the story and put Angie in there, which would make me really sad because I've been wanting Jesse and his sister and that to like come back into the storyline more, but
he actually had a good amount of stuff in this one. Jesse,
he did.
He had some interesting things. Like he's the only one seeking any form of mental health treatment for any of the stuff that's going on. Like he's listening to his meditation stuff. Like he's the only one that's actually considering the mental health, and not just diving all in on this. So
that actor is very reactive. Like I think it actually takes a lot of good work to respond to Steve, who's such an active character, and be like, hey, that's nuts. And like, you're not addressing yourself. You're not looking at your own brain. I don't think that this is good for you. You're like asking a lot of us. And he's just there to like observe that and be there. And I love characters like that. And I empathize with Jesse a lot. And that's why I'm like, they don't introduce a teenager buying drugs illegally without that going badly. That's like that's basically a loaded gun.
It's fine. It's fine. French is just a teen who gets on Grindr and meets up with adult men in the middle of the night and gets into a car, and it's fine.
No worries.
You're worried about the one buying drugs, not the one who just gets into. May as well just get into a van. These kids these days, right?
Let's actually talk about French a little bit here because French does some really interesting development, as you said, Ryan. We start with him, first of all, like debating everything that everyone else says. He's like, this is all bullshit. I still don't believe the OA because of these books, and Buck pushes back on that. He meets Abel at the library. I was trying to understand who initiated this meeting. Was it French who called Abel?
French did, I think.
Yeah.
To talk about this stuff, basically?
Yeah.
He felt guilt.
I think he was like kind of wanting to apologize to Abel for... like
breaking into his house and not trusting his daughter.
And all that. That stuff. And Abel, I love this scene because it's like, French, you're not as smart as you think you are, man, because there was a perfectly logical explanation for the books that's the opposite of what you thought it was, where Abel's like, dude, we got her the books because they were what she talked about. Not the other way. It's
because Riz Ahmed suggested it. My good friend Riz Ahmed. This scene, Abel becomes Magellan and says, "Oh, that's silly. You think these books would be the thing? No, are you stupid?
No, it's magic. It's magic. Come on.
It's magic. Friendship is magic."
He basically like grabs his face, slaps him, says, "You are in a show that's categorized as science fiction mystery drama. There is something happening in this show."
He points to the top left of the Netflix UI and he's like,
look at the genre tags.
You idiot, French. And French immediately is like, oh, damn.
Oh, crap. I guess you're right.
Damn. French is
but what I love about the scene and where they position it in the episode is before we get here, we get the conversation at Angie's house where Steve is like, we live in the shitty reality. And he says to French, like, but you have a good seat in the shitty reality. So you kind of want to protect your position. Like, you know that it sucks and you can say you're doing it for your family, but you're going to go to a nice college and that's effectively like going to another dimension.
And your family's damned no matter what. They won't be able to be saved, but you can save yourself.
Right. And so I think what is great about that is it puts this out into French's mind and kind of recontextualizes his logic for us of like, well, of course he would find an explanation to explain away the OA's story because he's like in this really precarious position where he has to cling to any chance at a comfortable life. So he's going to pick the stories that get him to the place where he can kind of like salvage and support that future.
Yeah.
Which makes it all the more impactful, I think, that as the episode goes on, he's like, well, I'm gonna stick with these guys and take this risk, because you know that he's risking a lot. He's got a lot to lose.
Well, and this comes like minutes before he's coming out to Steve. So Steve being like, oh, you have nothing to lose here. And it's like, well, actually, there's like a fundamental part of his identity that he can't really express in this whole universe because of how things are. Like,
yeah.
True.
A part of the dynamic as a group is trauma bonding. That has been a huge part of who they are as a friendship group. And, you know, that can have benefits and it can have negative effects as well. And a part of what we see in this episode, you know, and this happens no matter what age you are, unfortunately, is the competition of who has it worse off. Like, oh, you're better. You're all seated. You're all fine. Like, you have a university college thing set up. I don't have anything. I'm Steve, and I live in this shitty reality. And then, you know, on and on it goes. We even have, like, you know, Buck, someone that we, you know, feel a lot for and we get a lot with in this episode. There's even a moment where it's like emphasized in this particular episode, the only one in their group outside of Angie, because she's an outsider, that's not competing for the trauma awards is Jesse. Jesse's like the only one. He's just like, wouldn't it be nice if you know, if my life could be normal in any semblance, but it isn't. But, you know, he's like a quiet observer as well. But yeah, this thing with French, like, it is that thing of like, he has to realize during the journey of just like, I have to stop competing. I have to stop like flexing and trying to prove myself. And rather it is a thing of, you know, faith, and you have to go with the flow. And there's that line of dialogue from the man he meets up with from Grindr that's just like, here's some line that's basically like, oh, just feel it out. You just got to feel it out.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's like a thrust of this episode, is the characters realizing they just have to kind of stop stressing about, like, you know, logics and facts and like, you know, what is this and that, and just like be in the moment and feel it out.
Well, it goes back to the theme that I was saying I want to talk about more of control and like who's in charge of your life. And like the A universe characters often want to grab control, grab the reins. Like, no, we have to do this. We have to fix this. They are like asserting control and bumping up against forces that are out of their control. That is also happening in the B dimension in a major way, but very differently. So yeah, I think it's very interesting that like a 30-plus-year-old man is telling this 17-year-old, like, stop trying so hard to control things. Just like let life happen to you a little bit, dude. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like that drive to do something comes directly from the OA and the way that she told her story and what she asked of them. Here's a clear objective. Here's the bad guy. Here's the injustice that we're going to rebel against and overcome. And it, in a way, I think like this group in season 1 versus in season 2 is this study in like, okay, what does it look like to resist or to kind of like find solidarity in an unjust society? In the first case, where it's like really clear, we're going to fight against this person in this way at this time.
Yeah.
And it's going to require us to be like brave and stand up in a life or death situation, versus like, we're going to strive to like stay connected to each other and stay wholly ourselves in a world where the threats to that are bigger, they're more diffuse, they're more vague, it's just kind of like a feeling you have that things are wrong. And so you're kind of constantly having to resist that. And you can't do that by like standing up and doing the movements one time. You have to do it by like sustaining the connections that you have with other people. And I think that this
and getting to actually know each other, to know each other, because the OA, you know, we know her to be like a morally upright character, but even in this storyline, you're seeing the ripples of a cult of personality. They formed because of her. They got invested because of her. They invested themselves to her, but have they invested themselves to each other? They are all judging each other by the cover of their books. Like, oh, French, you're an attractive man, and you're square-jawed and you're fit and whatever. You're clearly wanting pussy. That type of attitude is from Steve. And then French is expecting Steve to react in a homophobic way when he opens up to it, but then Steve's like, "No, I'm an ally. I learned from BB-8 that people can be gay." Things like that. And of course, BB-8 is another example in which it's they've gone on quite the journey with her. They thought of her as a certain type of adult teacher figure, and then now she's this one that they look at as their mother figure in a way as well. But also she's got bad judgment calls. She's this could get us all into trouble. She says it, but then they do it anyway because they're kids. And so on and on it goes. And then it's actually quite crazy. There's in an episode like this, you have French getting into an argument with Buck. And it's this is a dynamic that I haven't really seen before in this show. So it's little things like that, but they're having their arguments are genuine ones. They're not petty bullshit with Steve. They're having arguments about the grander scale of the universe and fate and free will and choice and all of that stuff. And it's these two characters, awesome. Love that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's a great ensemble because, as we like to say on Chatz a lot, you could pair any of these two people and get some cool conflict. Steve and BB-8, she loves to tease him, but she respects him. And then Steve and Buck, there's this respect, but also this challenge of your identity is different than mine. It works with everyone. But getting into the sort of road trip that defines most of this episode. We go to Buck's house because he invites them all over. Check out this magic mirror. I think that Rachel is in it. But oh wait, we're moving in 2 days, and my mom gave it away to Goodwill, so we got to go down to Goodwill, which is such a. I think we had a scene in season 1 where they went to Goodwill, and it might be the same set, it might not be, but I just love. These are the types of characters that I've seen at a Goodwill, or it's what is your life? What are you here shopping for? It's just so fitting. And then as you said, we're talking maybe a pre-pod, Ryan, the Goodwill employee who's listen, it's in Gary, Indiana, guys. We don't keep things like mirrors. That's not a responsible thing to keep.
No one's gonna buy mirrors here. Come on.
Have you ever bought a mirror from Goodwill? Joe, you're a big thrifter.
Yeah, I don't think we ever bought a mirror. And part of what's really fun to me about the mission that these characters are on is most of the obstacles that they face are just logistical obstacles that are kind of happening. There's nobody working against them, but it requires them working together to figure this stuff out. Even something like a reason that Amanda and I probably have not thrifted a mirror is how do you transport it without breaking it? They're I guess we could wrap it up and put it on the roof, and then they break it.
That's a good point.
Stuff like that it's really fun. Or whoops, it's in Indiana. I guess
road trip.
I guess we gotta go there, so let's go. All that stuff's pretty fun.
The road trip it's a fun dynamic as well. It's that thing of let's force all these characters into a car and get them talking to one another or just looking at each other doing things. It's very informative visually. I thought the direction in this episode was really good. The camera floating around in this car, and you're just really getting a feel for everything. There's obviously lots of surreal imagery in this episode as well, but it manages to make the quaint existence of living in this universe feel more ethereal than the sci-fi weird universe of Universe B. That's what I really appreciate about the visual style. They're not doing that thing where it's this universe has a blue filter over it, so it's Universe A, and then this universe has a red filter because it's Universe B. It's not doing that sci-fi thing as much, so it's just the visual language of the camera. Yeah, Farscape episode. Fringe does this stuff too. We'll just be hey, anytime we do wibbly wobbly stuff, there'll be a Zeppelin in the sky or whatever nonsense. And it's okay, sure. But no, we have to talk about one of the great scenes is when they realize they need BB-8 on this journey.
Say it next.
We need BB-8. That is amazing because you, in your last discussion, you had David on. David was brilliant. David talked about the music stings in that episode and was saying it was OA. It's actually BBA, which is called out in this direct episode. So
Whoa.
Rachel's singing her notes, and they realize what notes are those? They're BBA. And it's like, oh, we got to go visit BBA and get her in this journey too, because she's going to be important to this. It's like, how does Rachel know BBA? It's like,
Well,
she's in a mirror.
Later in the episode, someone says, "How do you guys know Rachel?" And they're like, "Well, we don't." She's like really
A
important
stranger
to
visiting?
us.
That's scary.
I love, by the way, speaking of John, you're saying like how quotidian or like how much they're just bumping up against systems. The way that they encourage me to take them is she's like, I have a family member who's dying, so I was gonna take the Amtrak, and it's gonna take a long trip. And they're like, "Can you just drive us? And like, will you drop us off and you keep going?" And then there's this scene where she's like, I probably have to call Amtrak. It's like so bureaucratic.
Yeah, like as she's talking, Steve pulls up the Google Maps, like, look, it's on the way. We could just go. It'd be easy.
She's such a great actress, isn't she?
She's so good in the show. It's awesome.
Obviously, we all know her from The Office or Inside Out as well. Whenever I hear her voice, I'm like, oh, it's sadness. But she's so well cast in this. There's a whole story about her getting cast in this because she didn't want to. Like initially, she's kind of left the Hollywood industry. Like I don't know if you knew that, but like in Inside Out 2, they had to record her dialogue at her house because she did not want to go back to like LA and all that. She's like, and a part of it was like doing The Office was good, but it also typecast her as like that character. And then when getting offered this role, she's like, oh, do I have to do this? And then it was this magical thing. And she said many times over, I'll come back. I'll do the whole shtick to come back for the OA because they know what I'm good for as an actress. It's not just being the chick from The Office who's like sad, fat old lady who makes weird jokes. It's like they know how to use her in this show. And it's just so good because when we meet her too, she's like living such a sad life in this episode. Like she's asleep, the TV's on. It becomes like this really dream-like sequence where she's like hearing voices and she sees like an ominous figure and she thinks it's a brother, and it's just like, stuff's happening with her. But she's just got such a striking face in general. Like she's just got such a look that it's one of those things where it's like there's a universe where it's like she would be like that character actress that would appear in like everything as like so many specific things. But she's so good. She's so good in this episode. She's very funny. Like I love Angie, that's blasphemous. Was the line that I liked a lot.
Amazing stuff. Yes. Phyllis Smith, one of the greats.
Yeah. She's so good. She really nails that. Like, it's a very teacher thing of what you just did does not bother me personally, but I know that I'm in a position as an authority figure where I have to respond to it. She's like,
and that's
really good at selling the humor of that.
Very good
amidst all this. So that's pretty fun.
So they get to the Goodwill Distribution Center and they meet a young employee. What's this person's name? They have a cool name, I believe.
Sonia.
Yeah,
is that right?
Sonia with a J. And once again, another example of like, I've heard of you and I want to help you. My dad is a youth pastor and we have a church that we can put you guys up in for a night. Just so kind. To the point where I was like, is there something up?
Are they gonna get murdered?
Is it trapped? That was this episode though. Like so many of the characters make these brazen choices. Like they're putting their trust into these absolute mystery figures who they don't know at all. And you're watching a show where people get murdered and you're like, are they getting into trouble here? But no, this episode goes, no, everyone's nice. Even the drug dealer's nice. Everyone's sweet. Which isn't realistic, but it matches with the tone of this episode. Something I wanted to ask you was when they meet this character, they actually have a bit of a debate about how they handled the mass shooting in the previous season. This episode has a direct commentary about like, did we fuck up? Was that bad actually? Like, did we do the wrong thing? And they're like, no, but it worked out. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't usually. Like they actually have a conversation. I was curious what you both thought about that, because it is a thing where this season came out a couple of years later, so they had enough time to really soak in the feedback of what happened in the first and be able to, tastefully or not, in your opinion, talk about it in the show itself.
Yeah, so I think like on a basic level, the the scene you're referring to, I think it's like when French leaves and he's like, they all we did was distract them and they got knocked over. Like what we did was wildly dangerous and was not a good idea. And yeah, I think there is a meta. This show's already like pretty meta in general, and there is a read of that scene of like, that probably didn't work. But that's just like, to me, that's French's character. He's the type of person online who's like, this doesn't make logical sense. Like, he is not a believer. Every show about faith and belief needs a character who is a skeptic. It's the Sawyer from Lost, like none of this is real. Whatever you guys say is bullshit. And that was how I read it. But I do like this read that I think it's interesting that like it's the show commenting on itself. What about you?
Yeah, there's another moment of commentary where when Angie and Steve, towards the beginning, Steve is like, all right, we'll film a video just like the OA to recruit people. And Angie's like, okay, but like when this happened, everybody online was saying that you should have gotten shot and killed when you stood up. So like, how are we going to screen for those people? You're in danger. Like, it's sort of the show. I think at this point, the show probably still feels like doing that scene in that way meant something or was the right way to do it. And they're kind of making a point about like the fact that people watch the scene and are like, that's not how this would go. Like, why are you doing that this way? Is the point almost. Like, there's kind of this way that in the shared imagination, we reinforce our expectation of violence.
Right.
And it's almost like you should have gotten killed because I fear that happening. So I demand that reality conforms to my fearful expectation that reality is a violent place.
Yeah.
And the show's kind of like, but it went a little differently than that, didn't it? And what about that?
Look at all these people who help us now out of nothing because we did that.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I'm a little more understanding of what you're going for, and it still feels like
Weird.
it's just weird and irresponsible. And one of the people who's helpful is this guy that French meets on Grinder, and he's like, hey, let me talk to you about your feelings, and my aunt is a medium. And then they go to the aunt and it's like, yeah, that's what she is. I don't know. It's like
the series overall does ride this awkward line at times where we're in Universe A with these characters, it's presented as reality, like something you can recognize. But it does have this cranked up nature of like, but things are nicer, somewhat, not always, of course. Like, we get transphobia in this episode many times over. But there's always this looming thing of, but the scary, violent killing stuff that we're talking about, that's Hap. And there's this overriding feeling in this show of like, when these characters, if they ever converge with Hap, how will these two conflicting things meet with one another? And we get that with the OA as a character, of course, but she's from the Hap world to begin with, then comes to here, then goes back, you know what I mean? Like, this episode is like, in this universe, you can meet charismatic strangers and it's fine. But in the Hap storylines, that's how he gets you, because he's a charismatic stranger who speaks eloquently and he listens to you. That's the thing that's always like in my mind when I watch a show of like, it's dancing this awkward line. And then in this universe, like, we do have characters that acknowledge that. Like Riz Ahmed in the first season was a great example of like a character who acknowledges like these type of things, but he's like an FBI guy.
Yeah.
But in this show, it's like, we're in a group of people who are making all these wrong choices, but it's somehow working out for them because they have faith. And you as a viewer have to contend with like, how do you feel about the show's statement about that in itself?
Yeah, because I think ultimately the challenge is like, well, isn't the point of faith that you have it when it doesn't make sense to have it? Otherwise, like, is it really faith if it's not tested and like kind of irrational, or like not explainable? So it's tricky. It's tricky.
Mm-hmm. Abe even says, "Is it a question of belief?" That's one of the things he asks in this episode.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess sprinting towards our conclusion here, we have the scene we've been talking around, which is French using Grindr to meet up with an older man pretty effortlessly. 2 people use dating apps in these episodes. This is in Universe A, we get the gay dating app. This older man right away invites him over. He gets in his car. They presumably have intercourse, and then kind of have some like post-coital talk over smoothies. Magellan, you made an amazing point in your notes, which is I don't want a smoothie after sex.
That's like the last drink that it's not a smoothie, it's a milkshake.
A milkshake, sorry.
I do not. First of all, the line, "You gonna leave me standing here like a naked idiot with these milkshakes?"
Ew.
Such a ridiculous line.
In all fairness, though, that line delivery was killer. That actor,
very funny, very
He's
funny,
fun.
Very good.
funny. But in the list of drinks that I want after having sex, I gotta say milkshake is like not cracking the top 10.
All right, tier list incoming on Chatz Patreon.
D tier. Milkshake is D tier.
Magellan, disagree.
Milkshake.
Disagree.
To be fair, Magellan has a lactose sensitivity. So.
I am.
Well, that's
which informs that.
Not the milkshake's fault.
It's always just heavy, you know. I want something refreshing.
Yeah, but I've already done the physical thing. I've already done that. It's, you know what I mean? It's after, not before.
I know, but I want to feel refreshed.
I've never thought about it. I always.
Well, I would want to feel. It depends. It depends. If it's a nighttime thing like this, I want to feel more sleepy.
Yeah,
there you go.
A cold glass of water, a room temperature glass of water. I don't need milk. Because I'm not lactose intolerant, but milk just like kind of sits in my stomach weirdly if I have it late at night. So like I'd rather just have a crisp water or maybe a juice.
Make up the. I don't make up the juice is insane. But, I don't make up the rules, but milk has an inherently sexual quality in the world.
You're right. You're right.
You know, I don't make up these things. Yeah. It's a thing.
The point is that they end up talking, and the guy's like, "I can tell something's up with you." This is an interesting because it kind of bucks the trend of like gay encounters being scary or threatening. Because this guy is actually like, I want to understand what is clearly burdening you. I know that I'm like having sex with a younger man. We've already like crossed that Rubicon, but now like you're a person. I don't just see you as an object. And like, what's on your mind? And like, can I help you? My sister or whatever, my sister-in-law, whatever you say, my sister like is a medium. So like, go check her out. Do you want to talk to her? She lives around like kind of, an hour away. I can help you. That's fine. And then just move on with your life. We both know this was a Grindr encounter. I'm never going to fucking see you again. That's how this works.
He does help. He does help French in the way of, again, talking about outsiders. He knows about Prairie's story, but from like I've read these things about this poor girl. Like I know this, but French, who actually knows the OA, is like, no, it's not quite like that. And that kind of like other person stating very bluntly, like it's a matter of fact, like this is what this information is, has made French go, oh, that's what I've been doing this whole episode, huh?
Yes.
To other people?
Yeah,
okay.
All the time.
Like these people, my friends, they know the OA too, but I'm claiming like I actually know the real OA, who's a liar.
Interesting.
Even though her dad told me otherwise, and my friends have told me otherwise, and a girl in a mirror is basically telling us otherwise. Like I'm not going to, because I'm the skeptic.
That's a good point.
Yeah, this is like where French really comes into his own in this whole sequence. Like you really understand his plight, his stress. But he comes back to the church. Everyone else is asleep. They got I love the image of like them sitting by candlelight, staring at the mirror. I've been going to church a lot because it's Holy Week for when we're recording this. So I'm like, oh, I was there last night. And they're all asleep, and he comes in, and then like whatever the next day or something, he talks to Steve, and he comes out to him. He's like, Steve says, what'd you get laid last night or something? It seems like you're kind of having a coming to God moment. And he says, yeah, I mean, I did not get laid. He goes, was it the girl? Was it Sonia? And he's like, no, it actually wasn't a girl. And Steve right away is like, oh, it's the stereotype of men when they hear this is like, oh my God, you want to fuck me? You freak? You horny freak?
Oh, you had sexual tension with me. That's what this has been about. Look,
Yeah,
it was
I mean,
it was funny. I had a good chuckle on my face. Look, if these two's relationship going forward is Marcus and Franklin from Babylon 5, where they're the bickering couple whose one's really into being the
aw.
gay and the other one's like, oh please, I could do better than you,
Yeah.
that would be perfect for me.
It's, I mean, I my read is that French is probably bi, but we've never even seen. I mean, he could just be gay. I don't know. We've never seen him engage with women. I think he's very young and like figuring his stuff out right now, is the truth of the matter. And he is very closeted, very, very, very closeted because of how much he's like riding on his college scholarship and whatnot. Which goes back to my whole thing of like why French actually would want to go to the B dimension in theory. So after that,
I love. I was just gonna say, I love that in this series we can have a scene like this. You know, it's just like this is a science fiction show in parts, and there's been a lot of conversations recently, even back then, about like, I don't want this type of stuff in my science fiction. It's like, this is what it's for, people. We can have scenes like this in these shows, and this isn't one dressed up in any kind of like glitzy glamour sci-fi allegory crap. This is one where it's like two people sit down and it's a funny scene. Like, oh, it's a dramatic scene, but it's a funny scene. It's a very enjoyable scene, and it makes me like Steve more, and I appreciate it. And obviously makes French a deeper character. This is just one of those things where it's like, this is the type of thing that makes this episode great. If you go to IMDb, this episode is one of the lower rated of the season, and people in the comments are just like, why is it a teen drama now? It's like, this is what the show's been. What are you talking about? It's a teen drama with Brit Marling in the center of it, being the tallest one.
It's there's a teen drama and there's other things happening. But like this scene and the next one are all just like you're saying, Ryan. Like, look, this is like humans hanging out. Like, we're sitting in the car where Steve and French are arguing about Steve McQueen movies. And then speaking of like Lost Innocence, you know, Spielberg type stuff, they knock the mirror over and shatter the mirror. And then is the implication also that an animal is killed? Because I saw Jesse like hurt something or throw a rock at
this is just all Jesse. So Buck is ignoring the phone calls from their mother because the mother's like, oh, they've disappeared. This is not good. And Jesse looks over at that and just says, it's nice to have a mum, yeah? And it's just like,
Poor Jesse. Jesse's struggling so much.
Yeah. The circumstances are different, but it's still a lot to take in. And then, yes, Jesse kills this animal. He does it silently. He knows that he's the one to do it. And the thing that struck me the most is Angie is the one that notices it, and she doesn't have any judgment, but all I can say is, like, I grew up in a very poor area with a lot of friends with a lot of mental health problems, and I was that person like Angie who was like quietly watching, not judging, but I'm just like, I'm noticing this is happening and something's not okay there. And that's what this scene really hit home with. Like, they're all dealing with like the mirror, the plot of the episode. And Angie's just like, but your friend's not doing okay, huh?
Yeah.
Well, and I read that. I mean, this, when you were talking, Ryan, earlier about this being such a well-directed episode, this scene came to my mind because the camera waits so long before it shows you what the car hit.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, did they hit a person or something?
Yeah.
Like, what happened? And then we kind of move around, and then it's, oh, the mirror. Then we do these kind of like cut from the group up here, Jesse, the eye lines from Angie, there's the animal on the ground, like really brilliant kind of placing us in the space and getting us to understand what every character is caring about. I got the sense that Jesse was like putting the animal out of its misery because it had been hit by the car.
But it's like, somebody has to do it and I will do it.
Right. So there's kind of he's like taking a lot on his shoulders there. But yeah,
doesn't say anything about it either, just does it.
Yeah, it's very telling about where he's at right now.
I almost wish this scene ended the episode because I think all the stuff at Lily's house, while interesting for like what happens to BB-8, is awesome. I couldn't get over like the sort of like, again, it feels like we're in a different show when Aunt Lily is introduced and you're like, who are you? What show do you think you're on? This actress playing it like, I'm gonna have to charge you the deluxe package. Like,
character. Yeah.
But she's in the same show as the Goodwill Worker. You know, like she's in that show.
She's just like,
but we spend more time with her.
she's watching QVC. Like she's just like a
Mm.
she's not like a magical mystical person with a clear orb that she rubs. She's like a lady who has a house and runs a Etsy business. She's
A
like on
business.
Etsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 stars on Etsy. Oh, great.
Or on
Yelp or whatever.
Yelp. Yes.
4 not even 5. 4. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, right. Not that good. But so we're introduced to Lily, on Rachel. They perform a seance to speak to Rachel, and Buck gets up during the seance and hears or senses something out of the TV. And we get, again, my favorite directorial moment of the episode. Static and then footage of several things. Essentially, the Rachel ghost, to my understanding, is navigating TV static to give them hints via what they show on the TV.
Yep.
And they determined that it's saying it is only safe for BB-8 to go. And then BB-8 walks up towards the screen. She touches it. It like zaps out. We are to understand. The TV displays that church roof, the rose-stained window or whatever, the rose window. And then the TV shatters and the episode ends.
Yeah. Lots of stuff there. The medium lady, she has an interesting line. I think it was to Buck. Someone, they were like, why is this ghost visiting you? And it's like, oh, you don't know them, they're a stranger. That's not usually a good sign. But it could also mean that you're a medium. Maybe.
Right. One of you might be a medium.
Maybe that's why. Yeah, like maybe that's why they're visiting you rather than it's a personal thing. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. That's like a fun thing. Because this show, like with this team, each one of them has a role. Like Steve is like the leader of the group. BB-8 is the one in this episode who has this type of thing. French is the skeptic. We've gone through all of this, and then it's like, but Buck, you've been a major character of this episode. This episode started with you. This episode's had a lot of stuff about you. What's your thing? And this random character's like, maybe you're like the person who like can connect with the others. Maybe, but also I do my seance with literal crockery. So how much do you believe me? That was such a great touch.
My take with all this whole plot line is like, this is the one to me that feels like there's no way it resolves this season. We're gonna send BB to the other dimension. Either that happens next episode, guys, or it doesn't happen. Like, I really get nervous about that because I love BB-8 so much, and this episode it's encapsulating everything I love about A dimension, and now we're sending off presumably one of those characters into B dimension, and it's like, what is she gonna like save somebody in episode 8 and then we're not gonna find that's gonna be it? Like, come on, don't, please. I need this.
Stop hurting Allen.
The show is going to hurt me. I've accepted it's going to hurt me how it ends.
It's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt you real good. There's a reason we still #save the OA.
Yeah.
I, as the only person who's come into this podcast as one rewatching the show, I haven't rewatched it since I first seen it, and so I was quite pleasantly surprised with this episode and the next one, of course, with just how much I was nodding along, going, oh yeah, okay, interesting. Like I was just like, oh, okay, neat. This is rewarding me on a rewatch factor because I also wasn't too sure on that level too. But I was just like, oh, neat, just neat, like just little thing. I'm like, oh, cool. But this is the joy of like someone rewatching something. You're like, oh right, that thing. Oh, you set it up, neat. Or like, oh, this is an echo from season 1 that's brought back. Oh, that's kind of neat. Yeah.
Intriguing.
Like how both, like in this season, both of the OA's parents are seen individually, and one in one dimension, one in the other dimension has been the thing so far. That's kind of like a neat little trick.
You've seen A, and B, Nancy. Yeah. Straight notes on the episode before we move on.
I think we hit all my notes.
I have just the behind the scenes of this episode. The scene with Abel was the last thing that actor filmed before he passed away. He passed away shortly after, so the OA is his last role, and that was the last thing he filmed. So a little bittersweet, but it's also like he had a long career, and what a character to kind of round out with, because I think for a lot of people, Scott Wilson was, The Walking Dead was a big show for him around this time, but like he had a very varied career, and he played a lot of different characters. Like he was in Cold Blood, like that movie's intense, but in the back half of his career, he played like a lot of sweet, nice people, and this is the ultimate sweet, nice person to kind of round everything out with. So yeah, that was just one of the things about this episode that I had noted down.
R.I.P. Scott Wilson, the GOAT. I have 2 quickies. Speaking of like charming lines of dialogue, when Steve's girlfriend says every church window is an open vagina, and everyone's like, "Can you not?" That's when she's like, "That's blasphemous." I love that. That's
Only if
very
you don't
much
believe that God made vaginas.
right. Basically, it's like a at the end of a scene. And then my other one is just like about casting and representation, which is something I mostly give the OA a lot of credit for. I think it's a smart decision to have Jesse's drug dealer be a well-off looking white guy and not dip into like the easy scare tactic of like, it's a person of color who looks poor. It's like, no, this guy like looks like somebody who works for a startup and just like talks normally at him and is like, hey, take the pill, take one to start, and then do whatever you want. He's like so enabling and evil without it having to like rely on any harmful tropes. So I give them credit for that casting decision. And I'm also very, very scared about what's gonna happen to Jesse. Very scared.
Yeah, just talking about that. Ian Alexander was great in this episode, great in this series. I've been a big fan of theirs. They were in Star Trek Discovery after this, and so that was a big boost up for their career. They didn't use them in Star Trek Discovery, sadly. They were completely wasted and were a dead ghost for most of the show, so bury that one with you. But they're a good performer, and they're great in this episode. I felt a lot for Buck. Buck and French were like the standouts for me in this episode. They were just really good, like really good characters, really good performers. I'm glad both of them have gone on to have good careers. Like French is, he was in Nope. I'm pretty sure he was in that. So
that was his breakout role.
A bunch of stuff. Yeah, he was great. But fun little episode of just about, hey, let's take a break from all the crazy sci-fi nonsense because we're going to unload it on you in the next one. Let's take a little break and hang out with people. I like a hangout episode.
Yeah, this is definitely a hangout episode. Magellan, final thoughts?
Nah, we covered it.
Brilliant. Well, we will be right back after this musical break to reconvene and discuss Season 2, Episode 4, SYZYGY. Back after this.
Oh.
Oh, we're back? Amazing. Hey, welcome back to Chatz Away, the show where we watch the OA 2 episodes a week and we talk about it. The second episode we watched this week was Season 2, Episode 4 of the OA called SYZYGY. I am still Magellan. That's still Allen. And perfectly aligned with us, creating a kind of celestial configuration, is Ryan Sliwinski from Spit and Polish and Yum Yum Podcast. Welcome back, Ryan, to the second half.
Hello. Great to be back.
SYZYGY was written by Brit, Marling, Zalbat Manglij, and Dominic Orlando, directed by Zalbat Manglij, and was released same time as the rest of part 2 of the OA on March 22nd, 2019. Alan, what happened in SYZYGY?
In this episode, a lot of the promotional visuals for this show start to finally make a little bit of sense because Kareem visits Nina at the clinic for help finding the secret entrance to the house. And meanwhile, Hap meets a fellow traveler and Homer goes on a date. Nothing else happens. That's a joke. There is a telepathic octopus and it kills Nina / the OA, and she's starting to become Nina. And then Kareem finds the entrance to the game house, and we're off to do gaming next week.
And Hap's just going to the pool.
And Hap's trying to cure his tinnitus with a pretty lady. Okay, so real quick, what did everybody think of this episode? John, you go first. SYZYGY.
Well, the word SYZYGY is one of my favorite words in the English language, for a lot of reasons. Partly just the mouthfeel of it is so fun. SYZYGY.
It has 3 Y's.
It has 3 Ys, and they're all voweling it up, and isn't that fun too? And the Ys, they're 2 different vowel sounds, right? Because there's the I and the E.
SYZYGY. Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, what are you doing there? And then the word has a lot of like meanings, and the episode kind of does them all in a really cool way. Let me hit you with some meanings here. So, first of all, we can trace the word all the way back to some Greek roots, and really to some Proto-Indo-European roots, um, where the "si" part is like things being together. It's like the same, from the same root as like synchronize, like the sin is the sy. And then the zygy part means to yoke together. So the earliest use of the word in Greek and then in Latin meant like a pair of animals that were yoked together pulling something. And you're like, okay, pairs, that's interesting. We're seeing some pairs get paired up in this episode. And then that kind of eventually took on an astronomical meaning, because it's like, whoa, the sun and the moon in the sky, they're like getting yoked together at the time of an eclipse. And then the word starts to mean when celestial bodies line up in like a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse. Okay, that's interesting. There's also this like Jungian psychological way the words used, which, we can take or leave, but a lot of the shows we like on Chats really like Jungian psychology. See The Prisoner or Twin Peaks or whatever.
Freud's out, Jungians are pal.
Yeah. And in Jungian psychology, syzygy is the union between kind of like the conscious self and the aspect of your unconscious self that's like, and I'm gonna be Jungian for a second, that's like the opposite gender. Like there's a man has like the sublimated unconscious woman, and the woman has the unconscious man. And isn't that interesting, in an episode where the OA gets real femme and then goes to a club called SYZYGY that says "dress like a man" in the window, and has a man squid whispering in her ear. It's just like, you guys really opened up the dictionary and had to get every definition in this one. And I was a fan. That's my feeling, is that this is a good episode. And they use one of my favorite words well.
Ryan, thoughts?
Yes. Magellan has covered on the podcast journey 2 episodes with this name, one for X-Files and one for this. So there you go. What a wild ride. It's weird it's happened twice. This episode's great, one of the greatest. I selfishly chose one of the highest rated episodes of the show because it's also a very memorable episode of the show. The promotional images, as you stated, are from this episode. It's doing a lot. There's a lot happening. Like, iconically, there's the octopus in the room, but there's just a lot of just great things to say about the dynamics. Having the OA/Nina team up with Scrappy Private Eye is just so good. Their dynamic is so good, and they instantly like connect. Like, there's not too much umming and ahhing and like, do I trust you? Are you? No, they just get to it and they just start working together, and I love it. And just so fun. When looking back on the show, like, oh, what episodes should I come on for? I was like, well, I wanted to do season 2. Season 2 is my bread and butter. I love all of this stuff. I love the feel. I love the sci-fi noir stuff. I love these characters. I like seeing Hap have to encounter people who know more than him, because in the first season, he's the one that knows it all. Yep. And anyone who knows more than him, he will kill. In this one, he's like, oh, you know way more, and I have to like engage with you. And I love all of that stuff, and like just simple questions. I always think back to, you two talked about, for example, like in Star Trek, There's an episode where they ask the simple question, hey, can we teleport? Can we transport a hologram off the holodeck? And like your mind goes, whoa, that's a crazy concept. What an interesting sci-fi idea. This episode's like, hey, can you travel to different dimensions using other means? And you're like, whoa, I thought it could only be the moves.
Yeah.
All of that's here, and it's just such a magnificent episode. And I had to be selfish in this way because it's one of the great episodes, but I was selfless because I didn't choose the finale of the show, which is insane. So I was being good for everyone because we need you two just to do the finale on your own because that's just that's a lot.
You made an excellent choice.
Yeah.
Alan, before you share how you felt, can I share two other meanings of syzygy that came up in
This is your chance.
Well, one, the kind of like psychological stuff about pairs and in the case of an eclipse, a syzygy can be used to describe either the alignment of the heavenly bodies in a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse. In a solar eclipse, the moon is moving in front of the sun, so in the sky they're together. It's a moment of conjunction. And in a lunar eclipse, the earth is coming between the sun and the moon. They're in opposition on opposite sides of the planet. And it's kind of fascinating that the word which once meant two things joined together now can be used to also describe two things that are in opposition with each other. And we start the episode with like the OA and Nina and what's going on in there, and are they in conjunction, are they in opposition, what the heck is happening? And then the other thing is, in like all sorts of scientific disciplines, the word syzygy is used for different things. Like it describes some part of like the cell division process. I don't remember exactly which part, but it's also used when you're describing like poetic meter to talk about when two metrical feet are combined. And I find that really fascinating with what Ryan was speaking to, where like Hap is coming in to this episode with this very like, well, there's scientific knowledge and that's the way to know things and that's what things mean. And then you get this character who's like, but what about the arts? You ever thought about the arts, baby? And he's like, fuck, I didn't think about the arts.
I always forget the arts.
You thought about it in the French way.
And
very important.
It's like that's part of the title too, because this word means stuff in like hard scientific terms and in like
artistic,
goopy like artistic ways. And whoa,
scientific and philosophical.
Just like the OA.
Just like the OA.
Yeah, but Alan, what did you think of syzygy? Was it good?
Sick as fuck. Sick as fuck.
Sick as fuck. Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of this episode and episode 3 especially are about ghosts communicating between dimensions, right? When you were in the bathroom on the break, Magellan and Amanda put in my notes, she wrote me a little note about the song that you were singing when you were in the bathroom. I'm not gonna read it, but it was very cute. And I was like, wait, why is there red text entering my screen? Is there a ghost?
Oh my god, she highlighted it bright red in your note.
Oh no, the glitch is typing.
Yeah. No, so whatever. I wrote in the Chatz Discord earlier today. I've been enjoying like posting my spoilery thoughts in there before we record episodes sometimes. If this show can pay off even like half of these plot lines, this is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. I don't have confidence that it can do it anymore because they have now written so many checks that the checkbook is like lapsing, like it's collapsing, falling into itself. But like I'm kind of enjoying taking it episode by episode. Like, okay, what do you have for me today, the OA? Oh, we're becoming our own selves, and the movements aren't the only way to travel dimensions. And also, you get tinnitus when you're in the other dimension, and also, Asriel is a tentacle telepath. Okay, and then you also set up like what is essentially a whole new third show that's going to be starting next week of like and now Kareem and the OA are gonna like go through the game dimension. Like, what do you mean?
Oh, don't forget that the OA is transported to an airplane in which we shoot it like it's a David Lynch's
his Monica Bellucci dream.
Yeah, it's his Monica Bellucci dream, and she like walks through an airplane while it's in turbulence, and you're like, and then someone turns around and then we're gone. Lots of stuff, but
yeah, it's dense. It's really dense, and it carries you by scene to scene, being like, hey, here's what's going on. The characters don't know what's going on. This is where Kareem matters more than ever. Like, the fact that we've set up like you should like Kareem and he doesn't know anything is perfect, because he's watching that scene with the octopus and going, this isn't supposed to happen. And you're going, what am I watching? This isn't supposed to be what the OA is. And it's brilliant.
Do you agree, lighting guy? I just work here.
It's
a living.
That reminded me of I think when Magellan and I watched or talked about the first Spider-Verse movie, and Spider-Man falls out of off a building into the middle of Times Square and nobody looks at him, and Magellan was like, that seems really crazy. That is exactly what New York is like. And I was like, this seems really crazy, but that guy has worked in theater, and he's like, I don't know. It's an art piece.
Weird shit, man.
Him and the Goodwill guy would be best friends. They're both just, it's a living. What can I say? I'm just working here.
Every character in the OA is the Flintstones. It's a living dinosaurs. Yes.
It's a living. I got a bad case of the Mondays. The most important thing that I want to stress about this episode as we go into it is, yes, it has all of these grand things. Yes, it has absolutely crazy bananas things. Yes, it's teasing out the future of the show, whether for this season or for the future series at large. But it does not forget, and this is very important because a lot of mystery shows like this forget.
Yeah.
It has lots of character stuff. Like, Kareem is important in this episode because we get to know who he is.
Correct.
Yes.
Outside of his role in the story. And same with the OA. We get to see, like, oh, the OA's never had to drive a car before. Of course she hasn't. She was blind. And now you throw her in and everyone expects, like, you should know all of this stuff. And, Homer, his whole entire story, Dr. Roberts, his whole entire story is just like him living like a normal little life. Just him being like, can I go on dates? But my boss is like a psychopath, perhaps? I don't know.
I love it.
What do I do?
That might be my favorite plot of the episode. I love Homer being an LA Tinder fuckboy. I love it.
Can I go on a date with the lead actress from The Girl Who Walks Home Alone at Night? Can I do that?
Can I do that? Can I pull a baddie? Sure, go for it, Homer. Yeah. I've never felt that.
No. He sucks.
He sucks. He's not good at. He fumbles royally, and we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
As I said, dense episode. So I want to jump right into things. As Magellan said, we open with the OA having a dream with her younger self. There's a Snow White metaphor going on. There's like the white, coffin thing. This is setting up that we're gonna think about, like you said, Magellan, the difference between Nina and the OA. What's going on there, right? They split off at some point.
And I my read of that, because before the previous episode, it's like, okay, when she transported into Nina's life, did they swap?
Right.
And that could still be the case, and Nina died in her body, but it seems like not. So my sense is Nina's still in there,
trying to get out.
And so maybe the dream is like an opportunity for the two consciousnesses to kind of meet and mingle that the OA is refusing to engage with, because then Dr. Roberts is like, well, you want to talk to her? And she's like, hell no, I don't give a fuck about Nina.
I don't want to know her life. It's not my life. It's her body, but it's not my life, which is
something.
The actual opening, if you want to pay it, like the credits that come up, you see these red curtains and they open up, and those red curtains come back at the octopus show. So there's even like little tie-throughs from beginning to end of this episode.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was very Twin Peaks. Like, hey guys, Twin Peaks: The Return, when the curtains blow open for the first time. Yeah, that was even in that little opening, they're like, hey, pay attention, pay attention. This is a show. We're literally opening the curtains for you now.
Right. This is a performance.
I thought it was very fascinating that the OA herself has such disregard for the
Yes.
metaphysical context of her situation. She had this in a previous episode with Hap, where Hap was like, have you thought about what happened to the previous versions of us? Like, have we swapped and all that? And she's like, I don't give a fuck about that. I don't care about that.
Bad.
Which is so fascinating, because she in the other dimension would care about, like, she has this empathetic thing, but she's in this one, and you do wonder how much of Nina is in her, because what we've seen of Nina's life, what we understand of Nina's life, she seems a lot more cold and detached than the OA, whether or not that's true, or if that's just the OA just being so dismissive. But Homer's like trying to obviously get headway from his psychological report, but it is this thing of us, the viewer. It's actually kind of harsh to see the OA just be so like uncaring for a change. She's just like, I don't care where Nina is at all.
Yeah, I find that interesting too, and I can't help but understand it to a certain extent, in as a kind of like trans allegory, or like somewhat related to that,
Sure.
because one of the first things we learn about this dimension is about the character of I'm forgetting Buck's dead name, and I'm okay
Michelle.
with that, but Michelle. So we sort of know, like, okay, this is a dimension where like the characters we know didn't become themselves as we understand them, and the OA is like coming into this life that's several name changes before where she is in her life now, and kind of being forced to inhabit, what if you live this life where like you didn't ever become the person that you are. So in a way it's like, whoa, this is kind of harsh, but in a way you can also, I think, kind of understand it as like this complicated relationship that somebody who has transitioned, or even if we don't want to be that literal, somebody who's like in a new phase of their life or a new understanding of themselves, I don't know if they would be able to like think fondly or feel connected to this previous iteration. But it is interesting to see the character of the OA, who we understand, like you're saying, Ryan, to be so magnanimous and like kind and caring, to not like turn that towards a possible version of herself.
The most similar
like
we had to
gender
this
going on there.
The most similar we had to this in season 1 was, again, her talking to a psychologist with Riz Ahmed's character. He would challenge her, and he was like one of the people who would like shake her bedrock of faith a little, and she would be like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But far less aggressive. I think there's also a lot of like similarities and contrasts and comparisons with Hap and the OA, because both of them have now kind of swapped in their viewpoints. Like Hap in the first season did not give a fuck about the metaphysics. He just wanted cold, hard facts. And in this season, he's much more about like, okay, I still want that, but I know I have to understand the metaphysical things to better understand that. And they kind of like rationalizing their choices. Like one of the more interesting things too in this episode, in terms of like really, really interesting editing, is we kind of cut between the OA's reactions like this and Hap rationalizing why Rachel had to die and that it's Prairie's faults. And he's like, I have to put this on someone else other than myself. While cutting to the OA being like, I have to put this on someone else other than myself.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting that this season has had a dialogue about how these two characters who've been so opposed to each other in the past have now started to intersect in a way and pass each other. They just will never see eye to eye, and it's so good.
And it's such a unique thing that only this show can really do, right? Like Hap is taking on the personality of Dr. Percy and being like, well, there might be other ways to do this that don't involve hurting people, and like coming to empathize, with his introduction to this woman. And then Prairie, the OA, is like it becoming more cold and harsh, like Nina, who, I don't want to spoil the Apple TV show Severance, but there's a very similar plot line of like, what happens if the other part of you is not nice the way that you're nice, or doesn't think the way you do. That's kind of like at the core of what that show is about. And it reminded me a lot of that, of like, well, Nina is like a really important and like cruel figure who does a lot of like jacked stuff in the show, and it's almost like the OA is finding out that the real villain of this season is her other self, and then going, wait, but that's me. Like, am I becoming that other self? Yeah, there's like very big philosophical stuff that, like I said, can only really happen on a show like this. It's kind of nuts, though. But getting deeper into it, yeah, Nina speaks with Dr. Roberts about Hap and his lies, and she kind of confirms that like Hap has this guy around his finger, and he won't believe her as long as she's patient. He even says, "Are you being sublimated? Are you sublimating Nina?" Which I think is a beautiful concept. This sets up that Dr. Roberts is the most incompetent dork of the set episode.
Oh yeah, he has a turn in the episode too.
So sad.
He has a turn.
So
Yeah.
Dr. Percy pulls Rachel's body out of his trunk and blames it on Prairie. Kareem arrives at Treasure Island. Here we go. We're finally this plot smush them together. How do they work? It's actually gonna go fine because we're gonna go do a badass escape. Except, yeah, as you said, Ryan, the OA does not know how to drive, so he's like, just take the car.
That was amazing.
I loved it. That was brilliant.
It was so funny. Just her being like, okay, park, reverse. And then she's like, okay, I don't know what these other ones mean. It's just so good.
It's like they're trying to have a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Like, we're going to escape from the mental thing. And it's like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what escape looks like.
Yeah, this episode really gets to stretch Brit Marling's comedic sensibilities that we don't maybe get to see a lot of in this show, since she's usually the more serene and self-assured character, but she's in a different universe. You got to have fish out of water comedy, and the fact that she used to also be blind is also something you need to bring into the show, and they do it here. They actually withheld a lot in season 1, so they're doing it here, and it's just big smile on my face. I was just like, oh, she doesn't know how to drive, Kareem, but you don't know that.
Yeah.
They go to a diner and she learns that Dr. Percy used to be Ruskin's therapist. That's fucking nuts.
It's making me I think I was had a run of thought in our previous episode where it's like, freaking Hap, he can go to a world where he's like happy and successful and normal and fuck it up. But I don't know. Dr. Percy was up to some stuff, it seems like.
Yes.
So
I'm not surprised that he's working with Ruskin, but I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
There's a wrench in my read that like maybe are you having thoughts of right now? I can tell of like I can't wait for them to see what's gonna happen.
Look, any conversation about Hap is awesome. My favorite thing about Hap in relation to Dr. Percy is he thinks he's such a loser. Hap's like, I'm in the body of a fucking loser. What a loser. Like, every time he holds that book that made Dr. Roberts become Dr. Roberts, he's just like, what a fucking loser. He doesn't even want to engage with this book. He's just like, oh God, I'm in a hippie.
Yeah.
It's just Isaac's loathing of himself. Like, see, the OA doesn't want to engage with it, but Hap has to, by his very nature, engage with it because he's a psychopath who has to pretend. And so he has to, and everything he learns about Dr. Percy, he just goes, oh, this new age loser. How did I become this? Which is so funny to me. The diner scene, Kareem's trying to make her engage with the plot. He's like, here's the schematics of this house, and here's the history of this house. I've done all of the detective noir stuff, and the OA is just like blinking and being like, okay, right,
okay,
all right.
Hard to understand. I don't know.
This is what's so great about the OA. It's like, yes, here's the plot. We're doing the plot, but what's the most important thing about that scene to me personally is the OA gets ice, and she puts it, and she wraps it up, and she gives it to Kareem, and he doesn't know what to do with this. He's like, And she's like, for your jaw. And he's like, oh, and he has this genuine moment of shock of like, kindness? Oh, and he puts it on his jaw, and what a performance. Like, he's such a good actor. I've only really seen him in this, I must admit, but he's just so like likable. On paper, this character is like your gruff, no nonsense, a bit cynical detective, but he adds such a effervescent quality to the role that I just want to follow him around. Like, I just want to see him interact with like every character. It doesn't matter big or small, because he just has like a grit to him, but he also just has like a kindness, which does get called out in this episode.
Yeah.
But it was just that was the thing I loved about this scene, was just like, yeah. We're doing the plot. You care about the plot, but really, it's about this little moment of them, bonding.
There's still humanity in this episode. Like it's Hap real talking to this woman and bonding over the fact that they have tinnitus, and like this moment of vulnerability of like, it really sucks and I have to swim to get over it, and she's like, I do the same thing, and he's like, oh, another human that I can really connect to on a basic level. And she's like, I also think it's because I'm not supposed to be here. And he's like, oh, it's like his heart is like, growing 5 sizes at once.
But he's suspicious.
Right, he's scared. He's scared to love, right? He's clearly like worried about that.
Her introduction is ominous too, like, because he's in the bottom of the pool trying to deal with his tinnitus, and he's like in a bowl, and then he looks over and there's her doing the exact same, mirroring him, and she's just further down the pool, and he's like, what the fuck is this? And he just like leaves.
He's like, I know I'm the villain of the show, but like, what are you doing down here?
I'm going to go to the male sauna, where we're going to get a nice shot of dick in this episode, by the way. Lots of things in this episode. We get octopus, we get full dick. Not Jason Isaac dick, unfortunately. That you have to watch The White Lotus for that. But
where's my
and then she strolls in and she's like, I'm here now. I'm the main character of the show. I have big main character energy. She reminds me of This kind of reminds me of Insensate in series 2, where we kind of met that Italian lady, like that woman who's like, I'm the main character too, and I know lots of things, and I'm a sexy femme fatale type role, and it's like, oh, great.
Lila.
But this one, she does a lot of things like, she's doing pretty much identical to what Hap did with Prairie in his first episode, even down to like, let's listen to music together and be like, oh, how beautiful. Like they are basically having the same conversations about everything, except for she just knows more. It's fun. It's really fun. And he's just like, yeah, you can tell me more.
Yeah.
You're a nice lady.
Damn simp.
But also he's like, I'm suspicious of you. Like every time he puts on his glasses, he just gives her like a death stare. Like, are you doing me to me? Are you doing that? So
yeah, and I love that he keeps turning the conversation towards, she's like, yeah, there needs to be some kind of a fuel, and he's like, what is it, like human blood, or kind of like we drain people of their juices? She's like, I don't know, it's just sort of an ethereal thing. And he's like, so we kill them, or we do a murder, or how does this work? And yeah, at every turn he's like trying to concretize it, and she's like, I don't know, it's whatever, man.
In their first conversation in the sauna, he's trying to do I don't know what you're talking about, I'm just Dr. Percy, I traveled here in my car and all that, and she's like, do we have to play this game? And she knows his name. She knows his real name, which is also like, how does she know that for a start? Like, it's not just like she knows the exact way to say it that he did in the first universe. And I really like, Prairie does this too, but this actress does this a lot. She calls him Hunter because he's a hunter, and she says it very pointedly, like, "Oh, come on, Hunter!" Like she can see him, and he can't see her, and he's like, oh no, usually I'm the one that sees everyone. Oh no.
Bruh, I am just now realizing that's his first name. I kept being like, oh, she's calling him a hunter because he hunts people.
Yeah, he famously, that's why he calls himself Hap, because his name is a villain's name.
Hap, unfortunately, also just sounds like a villain's name. Like, you can't avoid it, pal. Sorry.
So does Dr.
Oh, a guy who owns an old-timey pub next to Cheers. Yeah.
Yeah, and so does Dr. Percy. Correct, Rajan.
I can't wait for the universe where he calls himself H. Aloysius P.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
That was like a Simpsons level joke, but that was really good.
Thanks.
Back in the OA side of... Yes, sir. Go ahead.
No. Go on.
We go to Nina's house and find her Russian accent dream recordings, and she starts practicing her accent so that she can do it. And this is when Kareem tells us, I think on the drive here, tells a story about his brause.
No, it was when they're trying to crack the lock. Yeah, they're trying to crack her sci-fi safe. She has a sci-fi safe because it's sci-fi now. It has like little laser effects. And yeah, she doesn't remember it, of course. And there's like lots of hijinks about like her like having to explain why she doesn't know things. And she's like, oh, I have amnesia, I'm told.
I probably.
And people being like, "Where's your accent?" And she's like, "I have amnesia."
But I really like what we learn through this, which is that somehow Prairie or the OA knows things that are from Nina's memories, like the combination. But she has to sort of like relax her mind and allow herself to remember those things, which makes you wonder. Yeah, exactly. The subconscious. Is this a moment of syzygy, perhaps? And yeah, Kareem's story is what like distracts her and allows that process to take place. And then later she's like, "Hey, that story about your brother, that was about you, right?"
Yep.
Which is great because now we know what Kareem's deal is, sort of, kinda, with his lady friend,
Mo,
which is that he doesn't
pregnant
want to
lady
have
friend.
A kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she got pregnant with someone else,
or him.
I think it's his child, but
he left.
He doesn't want it.
Like, yeah, he doesn't. He's like, I don't want to bring a kid into the world. And I thought we were on the same page about that.
Yeah, his story about his brother / himself is just this whole thing about like we got together as a couple, and a part of our like core understanding was we didn't want children, and then one day she walked into my life saying, "I want a kid," and I'm just still nope. And even then, like later on in the car ride when the OA brings it up, and she's just like, "So that was you?" And he's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Do you still believe that?" And he just, without skipping a beat, is just like, "Yep." He has not shifted his point of view on it, which is good, like, because in a narrative like this, you have that big opening up thing, you maybe get a hint that maybe he feels differently, and he's still very steadfast, like, nope, don't want that.
I think he loves Mo and cares about her a lot, but just like can't reconcile that having a kid part, being a dad part. Whether that's like a daddy issue or something else psychologically, I don't know. But I found it very fascinating and very characterful, like you said, Ryan.
I mean, we've talked about his backstory in previous episodes a little bit. He has a lot of guilt. He has like a lot of ownership of like his actions, his choices, his stuff. He's like, I don't want to burden other people with my guilt, even though I'm a detective where people come to me.
That's why he wants to save people so bad too. It's a classic like FBI or like cop storyline. It's like, I need saving, and so I'll save others. Real hard pivot. Why does one of Nina's recordings say a tongue enters my ass? Gentlemen,
that was just friends. You know, I think Brit was on.
Oh, it's a dream diary.
Both go to pause it at the same time.
Yeah, that part's hilarious. She's doing a dream diary, and it's a sexual dream. Yeah,
sexual dream.
You get to hear Brit Marling say in like a crisp, clear phone talk, like phone recording voice, "A tongue enters my ass," and then just
but in a Russian accent.
Yes, I'm not gonna do it. I don't want to say it again either. That felt uncomfortable. But yeah, imagine that in a Russian accent. Okay, then they have, this is so fun. It feels like the two kids playing Clue or something. SYZYGY, three wise man. We need to do
the game. Yeah,
we got to do the game thing. We got to go get the thing. We take a break from the mystery stuff and the hap stuff to finally go on Dr. Roberts' Tinder adventure with. Okay, this is crazy. Everything about this plot is crazy and hilarious, listener. It starts with Roberts talking to the police and being like, yeah, do whatever you want with the body. Anyways, while texting a girl being like, you up, you out? Oh, on Tinder. And badly flirting. But no, he doesn't even start by saying, what's up? He says, like, terrible day at work. What a shitty opener.
I mean, in all fairness, it was a shitty day at work. A prisoner, like a patient escaped. His other patients are trying to crack his sense of personhood and reality by saying, like, you're not awake yet, Homer, but you will be. The OA has a plan for you. And he's like, ah!
He can't follow.
And his boss is like a psychopath who's like, call the police, tell them to hunt her down. Bring her back.
He's like, I need sushi. I need sushi.
I need to eat a fish. Please. For some reason, I just really want to eat a fish.
He does an old boy. I need to eat something alive. Yeah.
Oh my God, Ryan. The woman's name is Yasi. She's 27 years old, and he goes on a date with her. And it's at an LA sushi restaurant. This is beautiful, like set.
San Francisco.
Sorry, SF. It felt like LA. That's why. This type of restaurant exists. There are 8,000 of these. Some things I like. He does like listen to her talk a decent amount, but then he starts talking a lot. That's your first red flag when you're on a first date. Bad. He started talking about, he instantly breaks HIPAA within like 5 seconds. She's like, can you tell me about your patients? And he's like, no. And she's like, can you not name names? And he's like, All right. So, anyways, this person like ran away, and it's like, oh Jesus Christ, what? The least professional worker I've ever seen.
Yeah. And also so intense. And then he starts like acting it out and almost dies choking on sushi. Oh my God.
I have a thought on that. I don't think he almost dies. I think he realizes he might be Homer.
Yeah, I also think that might have been it. Yeah.
But also, the comedy of him. Like,
what was he? Was he eating sushi? I thought he was eating a little octopus.
Oh, that would have been even crazier.
Oh,
I like that the woman listening
actually
seems pretty engaged. She's like, huh, very Pyramid Bisbee. Very cool. Like, she is not like, that's crazy. She's just like, okay. Pyramid Bisbee.
I think the part that gets her is the part where he drops the food in his mouth, and then she's like, okay, this got weird. Never mind.
After bragging about like crazy, right? Eating live fish or whatever. Whatever that means.
I think the two things that actually ultimately fumble it for Roberts here are, number one, when he's like, so anyways, one of my patients says that she's my soulmate and that we love each other.
True.
You've already fumbled. You've already lost. Now let's see if you can collect your winnings. And then he splits the bill by he itemizes the bill, and he's like, you owe this much. And she's like, it's $5 difference. Can we not just split it? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure, I guess. And he's like, I don't make that much money, though. I'm like a social worker in San Francisco.
Yeah, no, he makes a deal of, well, you know how it is. This town is pretty expensive. I thought I would pay for you because, I have a good job, because this is a tech town. This is a blah, blah, blah. I have a good job. Like, he does I'm doing it on behalf of you. And it's like... Okay. All right.
So at this point, he's completely. You can watch the sexual interest like fade from her in that moment, because earlier she says like, "What do we all do? All we ever want to do is just like procreate, right?" And he's like, "Right." Like he like basically is handed a W. He's like, "You're gonna get late tonight," and then slaps it out of her hands. And he's like, "Nah, I'm fucking weird. Never mind. Nah, I don't want that." And she just I have to go.
We get a lot of him. We get a lot of him fumbling in this episode, but we also get a lot of like this version's backstory, as well. Yes. Like he talks about like he still has that football thing and the thing still happens, but then he pivots this way because he reads this book by Dr. Percy that inspires him and all of that. And it's like, oh, okay, so in this universe you didn't get a girl pregnant, I guess. Because that was his big thing of like being
the girlfriend,
the dad who did not get to be there in the other one. And in this one, he's just like, I just lived a plain Jane life and now I'm here doing my job. I'm all about my job. And then this episode is like, but I also want to date. And it's like, oh, I'm sure. You know what? I think the OA, this series as a whole will give this character nothing but pleasant dates, because in the first season when he was forced to go on a date by Hap to trap someone, look, if you are told in an episode that this character / actor is going to be in a date scene, you should just strap in. You're like, oh, it's going to be a fucking nightmare, isn't it? He's never going to be allowed to have just like a normal date, because I mean, in all fairness, that actor's face, he has such a great face for, oh, I'm fucked. Oh, I'm fucked. I've screwed this up so bad.
He's so good in Marty Supreme. So I don't know.
He's such a piece of shit.
Yeah, he sucks.
He's such a nightmare.
Just like a nightmare man in the background of that movie.
Yeah, I liked him in the
Roof Man.
The Roof Man.
Yeah,
he was fantastic. He's such a doughy loser in that. And Peter Dinklage keeps bullying him, and he's just like, I can't beat Peter Dinklage. He's my boss.
I actually recently heard that movie was good, and we didn't appreciate it enough.
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. One of the funniest things about that movie is Kirsten Dunst is in it, but it takes place during like the early 2000s, and Spider-Man 2 is a thing that exists in the movie's universe because it's our universe. So it's like when she watches it on the TV, does she know that's her? That's one of the things I think of.
So other dates happening. Elodie is her name, by the way. They have dinner. They discuss dimensional stuff.
Elodie?
We talked about that. Elodie. Thank you. Elodie. It's not. There's no way. It's Elodie.
Say it with a French accent. You'll muddle your way through. Elodie.
Oh, my French-speaking girlfriend's gonna make fun of me. Elodie. So they're going to like an opera. It's very beautiful. That's happening. Meanwhile, the OA and Kareem are investigating a club called SYZYGY, and meanwhile, Homer is going on this worst date of all time. And then after his date, is asked to tail Scott.
Hap is basically like, go talk to Scott, learn everything that you can from him, about his NDE. There's something about what Elodie says that makes him think that. It's
different vehicles for travel.
Right. There are a couple of things that Hap gleans. The first is sort of like Elodie, because she tells this story about like, I went into a universe where I was a famous French actor and I watched all my movies. And like, I thought that was a really cool little monologue. Where the thing that she takes from it is like, there are these different universes, but fundamentally, I was kind of the same person, or like I was driven by a similar desire.
There's one thing about us that is the same, like one core driving force that's the same.
And then the other thing that Hap takes from that conversation is that there's some way that you can go somewhere on purpose.
That's what he wants.
He wants to understand that, and he thinks like, oh, the OA came here on purpose to get to Homer. Like Homer must be here.
Right.
That's what he learns at the end, because she says, Elodie, she says, so in their dinner, she's very cryptic. He even has that great line. He's like, I gotta say, you're a little cryptic for me. He doesn't like that. And she's just like, it's a mood thing. It's an intuition thing. Because she's like, you want to road map it, don't you? You want to put it on a map. It's not that easy. It's an intuition thing. And he doesn't know what that means. And she's like, she brings up the idea that stated earlier that there's different forms of travel. She's like, oh, you're the type of person to use other people? Oh, I wouldn't have thought of you as that type of man. Like she has a good chuckle. Like the idea of like, you're using a community? That's weird. There's many forms of travel. Like you drove your car, but you could have walked, you could have flown, you could have taken a bike. You know, there's all of these ways. She opens up his mind. But then at the end of the episode, she takes him to this opera and she talks about like singing, what makes a difference. And she says, it's the power of will. You know, it's a willpower thing. And it's like, oh, fuck, the OA willed herself here because of Homer. And if that means that means Homer's somehow here, which is very interesting. And it is somewhat corroborated in the finale of season 1, where the OA says you can travel via will. She's like, I'm going to do that. That's how she does that. She does it via will. So it's like, oh. And now Hap knows.
It's like, oh. Die. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah. Maybe you don't need a group. Maybe you don't need to die.
You definitely don't need to do the movements. I like the idea of like the movements were an outdated method. That's fascinating. But maybe you don't need to die. Maybe it's just like if you want it badly enough, if both halves of you want it, they can do it at will. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, it's an expansion, of course, but it is still intriguing of meeting another traveler, and they know things. Like they have different interpretations, different rules of things. This actress, I should mention, she is a famous French actress in real life. She is most notable for being in the last of the Three Colors trilogy. Yes, she's in Red. And all of that, and so there's a bit of fun meta stuff with that. Like I'm a famous French actress, and yeah, she basically does like the wink wink of like I'm listing all these movies that actress has actually kind of done. Like that's just a fun little, you know, like why not? You know, the people who know her, like she's a big deal. It's kind of like, you know, how they make fun of little things like that in shows. So that was pretty funny. And if you know, that type of deal. But yeah, I just like the dynamic of Hap is no longer in control. He's just like, oh,
yeah,
the patient escaped, my flunkey's a dumbass, and this person is actually mentoring me now.
So the OA and Kareem, as I said, this is where the sort of the showcase scene of the episode comes in. They learn about this place called SYZYGY, the place with the 3 Ys, and they call it, and they're like, yeah, I'd like to schedule an appointment tonight. And the OA does her best attempt at Nina's Russian accent, and they are brought there. And at first, it looks like a nightclub, and then they go inside, and it's actually a laundromat that is dressed like a man, or a tailoring shop. And you're like, wait, I guess it's a tailoring shop. And then they go further, and it's like, no, it's a nightclub. And then they go further, and it's like, no, it's actually a weird performance art piece that Nina like presumably created or helped organize, where she is strapped into a chair. And by her will, and there's a safe word that she doesn't know. I found that very scary, that they were like, just say the safe word. Her ass does not know the safe word. and this is real, listener, but the OA is strapped into the device, and then in front of an audience of a ton of people, is grabbed by an octopus telepath that speaks to her and tells her that he is Azrael and that she has to do what he says and that she has to die for 37 seconds. And
he knows that she's not Nina. He knows.
He knows that you're not Nina. You're somebody in Nina's body. Deeply scary.
Again, another person who knows that this person is not who they are pretending to be.
I have a pit in my stomach.
And he knows that she's the OA specifically.
He knows as well, yeah.
Yeah.
He's getting her to talk for him. I wrote it. I said earlier in part 1, my big theme of these episodes is who has agency in these episodes? Who is being guided? Hell, are Kareem and the OA even the agents of action in this? Are they being guided and forced to do everything? Because the OA's big climactic scene is being told what to do, being told to die, and then being saved by someone.
But she doesn't say it all.
Right.
You know, she's told, tell them that you're an angel. And she says, I'm an interdimensional traveler. She doesn't say she's an angel like she did in season 1. She's not willing to give that stuff up. Like there's little things like that she slightly pivots away from, and he just grips tighter. The octopus grips tighter. It's like, okay, you need to give me your permission to do this. Azrael, very important name, of course. You know, angel who in certain God's faiths is one that is the one that deals with death, the transition of souls. Is what his deal is, and that's exactly what this octopus's deal is, because he wants to kill her to make her travel briefly to somewhere else, and he's like, that's what I want to do, and you want that too, right?
So I just had a brain blast. Yeah, Magellan, Azrael is a psychopomp. You know who else is a psychopomp? Motherfucking Katoon. Oh my god, we have another one. Something's going on. Something big is going on here, OA, and I see what you're doing. I just want to say the CG here looks remarkably good. I mean, like, it's not like realistic, but it's like it like looks the fear in Brit Marling's eyes as she's like attacked. That's so funny reading like criticism of this show from 2019 when all anybody could think about with this was like, were they inspired by hentai? Is this a reference to hentai? And it's like, there's more going on than that, guys. Like, watch the rest of the episode. I don't know. Also, yeah, as you said in Magellan in your notes, like they did have an Asian actor play the voice, and like something they're like they are associating the tentacle with like an Asian energy. I don't love all of that. I don't love whatever that's implying. That's all I have to say about it. I don't have a take. This is fascinating. I'm like, I just want to quickly describe where I'm at. I'm like sitting in my couch. I'm like half asleep, and then I'm like, oh my god, this episode's almost over. We're building. If you watch SYZYGY, listener, you can tell that we're building to something crazy. Separate from knowing that Ryan was coming on, separate from this being the highest rated episode on IMDb, you're like, something's cooking. And when we get here, I'm like gripping the side of my couch, like, what the fuck am I looking at? What do you mean? There's an octopus.
And they set it up because when she's having an appointment session with Dr. Roberts, she's like, Nina's skin is so soft, and then she rolls up her sleeve, and there's all of the marks on there already, and she's like, oh, is this drugs or whatever? And then it's like, oh no, it's the octopus. It's suckers.
Sure, I know, I caught that.
Yeah, right.
I left you all the clues.
If you just go back and watch this episode, having already just watched it on its own, it is within itself setups and payoffs, as well as just obviously what we'll do later in the show. But just as an individual episode, it's like, oh, you thought that was weird? Don't worry, we set it up earlier.
I want to watch the whole show again. Do that.
Yes. Whoa. And he also goes by Old Knight, right? That's the octopus goes by. Just make it easier for everyone, because it's easier than giving an angel's name. But then he's like, hey, tell them you're an angel, and she's like, no, I'm an interdimensional traveler. That somehow makes it better.
Yeah, what I love about this scene and the like, it's an octopus speaking to her telepathically and all that weird shit, is it's doing what happened when we first met Katoon in part 1, which is like, all right, you think this is the box the show is in? We're gonna throw you way the fuck over there just so you know how different it can be, and then we'll come back. But like, just know
We
that
can go
we
there.
could go all the way over there. And it also kind of we're thinking about like faith and rationality, and I think a big thing that this episode does, in both with those things kind of like in conversation with each other, but also within themselves, is reflecting on like there are many different faith traditions. There are many different kind of like sources of knowledge or schools of thought. There are all sorts of ways that people arrive at the same understanding or make sense of similar experiences, sometimes via very different beliefs or understandings or phenomena. And it's within the realm of human experience that you could have one culture that's like, yeah, the way that we think about kind of like the divine is this sort of angelic godly thing, and this other culture that's like, there's an octopus on stage who kind of tells us stuff, and we have like the sea think, and that's our thing. And
it
it's
goes
all
back to that
just
title.
part of it.
Everything has different meanings to different groups, you know?
Yes.
That title,
yes.
like in psychology, it means this. In science, it means that. In philosophy, it means this. In Greek, it means that. Like, it all goes back. They do this a lot with, when you're end of season 1, it's like, oh, this is a multi-reality hopping show. And I remember, Magellan, you were a bit like, I don't want to do multiverses. I don't like that. Like, you know, that type of thing. But then this season in particular is like, Magellan, Allen, look, here's all of these different interpretations and potential rules of how this all works. Like I think like with Dr. Roberts' thing, they're like, oh, what you saw in the previous season, that could be the future instead, or what happened then. They're like, what does this mean? And just on and on. And then this octopus is just like, hey, I'm gonna transport you to another reality or dimension or dreamscape or whatever the fuck. And that's going to mirror what BBA had last episode, where we see an ominous figure with no face revealed, and then you're yanked away. And you're like, oh, okay, this is the rules we can do. And then Hap, that's his entire journey. Is like, he wants to understand it. And then someone says, dude, don't you get it? There is no one answer. That's what I love about, to be honest, one of my favorite things about this series is the hero-villain dynamic at play. Even if they're not in the same scenes together, the show itself is constantly in a wrestling match with, you want it to be a science fiction show where there's rules. Like Hap wants it to be a science fiction show. He's like, this is a sci-fi show. I'm Hap. I'm the doctor. I'm going to write it down. It's going to be rationalized, legitimized. And then the OA and the other people like, no, we're in like a, the leftovers lost kind of wishy-washy, feel-good, theological, spiritual, whatever show. And those things are clashing constantly, but this show is doing it on purpose. It's like, no, the viewer may want it to be like, see, the interdimensional travel works by getting 5 people together, and they do these set rule movements that were bestowed by an ancient god who's from this, blah, blah, blah. And then the show's like, no, dog.
None
you
of
can
that.
do it this way too. None of that. And just that dynamic, that central conflict between these two sides is always interesting, because it's happening even when they're not on screen together.
Yeah, right. Episode 3 and episode 4, in fact, kind of form an interesting pair of like, one of these is about dealing with like the structural real problems that are happening in front of you, and then episode 4 is about dealing with the things that do not exist in your world and exist beyond structural problems but are like extra dimensional.
What did you feel about the revelation that Old Knight had about Kareem? He's like, Kareem is this for you, by the way, the OA. Which was like,
I had one thought about what we were just talking about.
Oh, you go ahead.
I want to talk about that a lot, but before we switch, I'm being reminded of in the first season, this conversation that the OA had with BBA about totems and like communities that have objects that take on like a totemic quality, and the way in which that's kind of how the mirror operated in episode 3, of like, it was a meaningful thing because these characters have had
assigned meaning,
hard experiences, sad experiences together, and they can kind of like pour their understanding of the world into this object. And in a way, this episode is sort of like the movements themselves also have a kind of totem-like quality. It's not that they inherently do something, it's that they can be kind of like made to do something by the way that we relate to them or what we have them represent. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
Even the opera at the end, she uses this as like a see, Hap, don't you understand? Like this kind of cultural significance, this artistic, something, the human thing that comes out of us in a very specific way. And like, yeah, there's a lot of that playful stuff there.
So as you were asking, Ryan, yeah, we have Azrael, who's like, well, in every dimension, you've got a brother who helps you. And the camera is cutting between this and Kareem watching what's going on. And the always like, am I going to survive? And Old Knight says, well, it's up to him, your brother. I don't have a brother. Yes, you do. He's here and he's going to save you. And then Kareem comes and saves her from dying. So the implication would seem to be they're connected in some way. They are a pair yoked together.
He's dreamt of her.
He has dreamt of her before, so we know that. Well, yeah, I don't know. Alan, you said you had thoughts about this? Theories? Ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I love this concept of in every universe there is always a blank. I like that storytelling premise a lot. There is always a brother. Do we mean a literal birth brother, or do we mean like you know, as Azrael's saying, like you have somebody who helps you? Because Kareem is the one who kills Azrael and gets her out of it after that 37-second dream where she sees someone on the crashing plane. I think we're not going to get an answer to this season. There's no way. This is, again, too big. But my theory, Kareem are both the brothers. Universe A's brother is the therapist. Universe B's brother is the detective. Because both of them work in different ways for the FBI. And both of them have different interactions with the Islamic faith. And both of them are helping OA/Perry, like, figure out what she needs to do. I think it might be that simple. That might just be the easiest answer for me. Raheem is the brother. Kareem is the brother.
I like that. I have two competing theories just to flesh out the world of theories.
Okay.
But I like that's the one I like the most. Second thought is we're sort of like, oh, Homer, like Homer's spirit maybe went somewhere else, didn't end up in Dr. Roberts. Maybe this is where Homer's spirit is, or maybe Homer's spirit kind of like works differently than other people's spirits and he comes into the brother role in a different way or something.
Yeah.
Third idea, because we're not just in the sequence cutting between the OA on the stage and Kareem watching, we're then more broadly cutting between this and Hap and Elodie at the opera. Are we talking about Hap is the brother figure?
That's fun.
Who's protecting her? And what does that even mean? So I don't know. I just don't know.
Ryan, I want to ask you so many things. I want to ask you so many things. I can't.
You can't ask me.
I know. So rounding out the episode, as I said, the other dimensional step that OA gets to have is she's on a plane, she's in the bathroom, she opens it, it seems to be about to crash or something, and they're being asked, there's like a lot of turbulence, and she finds somebody who has short blonde hair, and right when they turn around, she's pulled out of the dream by Raheem, who has taken her out of the dream.
Kareem.
He's killed. I knew I was gonna get it wrong.
He said his name once in this episode, and now you're stuck on it. Yeah. That's why you do what I do. Just call him Riz Ahmed, and then Kareem is the other guy.
Sorry,
that's
Bensley Kingadeer. Kingsley
the trick.
Benavir. Bensley? Jesus Christ.
Get it right, Alan.
And so my last note was, obviously, yeah, this is all nutso, and then they find the door, and he's like, we gotta go to the door. We're going to Game World next time. I'm excited for that.
Time for the gamers to have an episode.
It's gonna be Saw. They're gonna turn the show into Saw.
I'm looking for gamers.
I think the squid stuff makes sense in Dimension B. If you remember that Nina is a famous medium, and like it would make sense that people would pay to see Nina as a robot talk to a squid. Like that actually sounds crazy, but like, yeah, that's why the lighting guy is like, sure, this happens. Like, because in this world, she's a medium. Like the aunt.
We had a medium in both episodes.
Like the medium in episode 3, and we've had plenty of people who are like this. Also, I didn't watch Hannibal, but I know that a big thing in Hannibal that people love about that show is the sort of like beautiful disgust, the beautiful horror of like bodies and stuff. I felt that very much in watching the octopus sequence.
Yeah, Buck's mum was in Hannibal, actually, one of the main detective characters, that actress. I was very happy to see her. She played one of my favorites, Beverly Katz in Hannibal. She was good character. And there's man, what a big episode, huh?
It is. It's just all this stuff. And then my last note was just synchronizing everything we've talked about. Something. Homer eats sushi this episode. Nina interacts with a squid. Young Nina had a drowning nightmare. Drowning, water. It's actually all another one of those things you're saying, Ryan, where it's like, if I think about all this too much, I could like make a cork board for the show. It's great. It's good stuff. I thought that scene is beautiful. I would like make that my desktop background if I could. But it's also like weirdly sexual, the way it like the Azrael thing like pulls her dress up a little bit, and you're like, what the fuck is happening?
But it starts to go up the chest. Yeah. It's a lot's going on.
I'm done.
Anything else we want to say?
When Kareem is telling his story, the OA can't help but ask questions because she's curious. And I love this line where he says, are you listening or are you asking questions? As if those are two different things.
You can't do both.
That's a really fun line. Another line that I thought was very good and also gross is Yasi, who Homer's on the date with, is describing her job as, we're thinking about how to redesign death.
I hate San Francisco so much. And
it's pretty
she
wild.
References that, oh god, she was gonna say, was she the one that referenced in that same scene that the Upside Down and Stranger Things exists?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I think you see people watching it on the airplane as well. When they walk past, they're watching Netflix shows on the airplane, which is awesome. Hey, this show had faith that Netflix would back up.
Right?
It worked out well.
Misplaced faith. But I like that there's that line of, we're thinking about how to redesign death in the episode that we then redesign our concept of the angel of death as like, let's spice it up. He's a big squid. it's death, baby. It's good. But yeah, that's what I got.
My note that I had left was, I really, really appreciated. So the OA gets into the fancy dress with the big slit up the side and all of that. And that's the poster of the show, by the way, on Netflix is her walking in that tunnel in that dress. Kareem turns around, and I was so appreciative of the fact it wasn't like a "whoa, she's hot" type of reaction. He was more like immediate, like, I dreamt this. Like, he was so on business for this, and I was so I took a big sigh because I was just like, "Are you going to do the Thing show?" Because the OA herself hasn't really been a sexualized character. She's just like. And then this is the thing where it's like she's in the sexy dress and the camera like swoops up, and then Kareem turns around and he just immediately diffuses it, being like, "Oh, I've seen this. I've had a dream about this."
Yeah, they've done a really good job of not over sexualizing Brit Marling in this show, which makes sense considering she show runs the show. My only note was, you always know that I love a side character that doesn't matter to the story, and I have to keep an eye on them in every show that we watch. Darmy is one of the people that Dr. Roberts swipes left on. He does not swipe right on his coworker. That would have been dicey, especially because she is his secretary, kind of.
Yeah.
Hey! I'm glad he for the one thing that Dr. Roberts did right this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we didn't get a chance to mention. What did you think of Renata in this episode? She was a lot more
She's believing
adversarial
it now. She's starting to believe.
Yeah,
that
but
maybe
then she also spoke. She spoke on things like, you know what? Actually, yeah, the OA does have a plan. I'm like, where are you at, Renata? We need your point of view. And she's just like, no, I don't want to talk about it. I love her. She's just so angry.
I've accepted that she's not going to matter too much to the finale, and I've made peace with that, even though I like that actress a lot.
I like Alan just says like, I've made peace that nothing will matter in this show, but I can't wait to watch more.
Yes, that's correct. I have made peace, and I will continue to watch more. Yeah. Anyways,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna wrap it up.
Okay. So Ryan, thank you so much for being here on Chatz Away. This was a ton of fun. Starting things off with after discussing the episodes, where can people find you and your work?
Well, I host 2 podcasts. Spit and Polish Presents is my movie podcast that I host with my friend Bartek, who's been a guest on this podcast a couple of times. You need to bring back 13 Under 13 so we can have Bartek come in and be the expert of a pilot episode again. That's why I suggested Awake would be a great companion with this, because that's like a Jason Isaacs-led show as well. But and that's only 13 episodes, and was showrun by a previous showrunner of a show, so that'll be fun. But I also host Yum Yum Podcast, where we talk about episodes of science fiction television, my wife and I. We talked about Star Trek Starfleet Academy, and we actually had Bartek on as a co-host for that because he's never watched any Star Trek before. So I was like, let's get you to watch a new one and see what you think. So when they start calling out season 6 episodes of Voyager, it doesn't make sense. But we are currently going through Killjoys, the science fiction series about a bunch of ragtag bounty hunters as they stumble across a bigger intergalactic conspiracy. We're about to start up season 4 of that show, so there's 5 seasons. It's a great time. Recommend that show. It's a very fun show. Around the time that the OA was on as well, like the mid 2010s was like a bountiful time for science fiction television. It was like you got everything. It was bam, bam, bam. Even if they were short-lived, like this series, doesn't mean that they don't have something important about them. Like, I'm so happy you covered the OA as well, because you both have had long discussions over the years about what makes a cult what makes a cult show, like cult TV show, and like, is there a cutoff point? You both had said like, once you get to the Netflix age, it kind of cuts off, and I'm like, but the OA very much is counter to that. Like, that has a very cult TV status, like with very dedicated fan base who are very in love with things and kind of do all the things that you hope like fan bases would do. So I'm very thrilled about that. But yeah, that's where you can find me and my podcast. They were all over the internet. You can look them all up.
Magellan, excellent. What are we doing next time on Chatz the Television Podcast?
Next time we are watching the OA Part 2 episodes 5 and 6, The Medium and the Engineer, and Mirror, Mirror.
Oh, they're in the Mirror Universe. Wait.
Good titles.
They're in the Mirror Universe. Wait. Where are the goatees? Wait. How about a goatee? Wait. Yeah.
Oh my God. Homer had a goatee. Homer has a goatee.
Yeah, a lot of goatees. That's on purpose. There's something on purpose about that.
Whoa.
Brilliant. Magellan, in the meantime, where can people find your silly ass online?
You can find me on another podcast that I do with my friend Justin called Super Smash Echoes, where we play video games related to the Super Smash Brothers franchise, Super Smash Echoes. Check it out. You can also find me on Bluesky, not-that-magellan.bsky.social, and some of my writing on Ghost at not-that-magellan.ghost.io. Alan, what about you?
My main other podcast gig is The Creature Quorum, which is a Pokemon podcast I do with my friend Six Step Bar. We had an episode recently with Magellan helping us cover the Kanto video games, including Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So that's my Pokemon podcast on ScanlineMedia.com. We are also doing the Garnet Wager, which is a Korean game show and storytelling pod. And I'm on Bluesky at Ibrahim, AIBRAHIM. Magellan, my sweet darling, this being an even episode means that you get to do the plug zone.
Lovely. I would be glad to do so. You can get in touch with the show in a few different ways. You can email us, chatzpod.bsky.social, with questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, requests, your own thoughts on the way, and we'll say them on the show way. We're also on Bluesky at Chatzpod. What? You were shaking your head at me?
Yeah, just very fun how you said all of that.
I just did one of the movements, basically.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I basically just did a movement.
Yeah.
Chatspod on Bluesky, ChatZPod. We're also on YouTube, Chatz, a television podcast on YouTube, where you can see video versions of us, and even Ryan. This time you can see, dancing around, a little Londo Malari in the background too. It's all fun to witness on YouTube. You can rate the show wherever you find it, share it, review it, do the stuff that you know how to do as a citizen of the internet. And also, if you got some bucks to toss, you could toss them to us at patreon.com/chatspod. $1 a month gets you onto the Discord, where all sorts of people are talking about all sorts of stuff. $3 a month gets you twice monthly bonus content. We need to actually pull for the April Cup.
I guarantee you it's going to be Ryan.
It's been over a year since any of mine got picked, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not refill the cup. These are old. Okay. Just kidding.
Magellan.
Later we'll do this and we'll see what we'd get. Okay. Anyway. And then $5 a month gets you thanked right here at the end of every episode. Thank you to our $5 patrons, $5 a month patrons, who include Amanda, Arthur, Emily, Emrys, Felicia, Jen, Justin, Kelly, Kyrie, Lee, Marcus, my mom, MP, Nick of the Brothers at Infinite War, Noel, Six, and Stefan. Thank you, folks, for supporting the show. Now it's time for our... Oh, and thank you at Camillustrator for our podcast art, of course. Now it's time for our Chatzums, things for us to snack on between now and next time. We start with our guests, right, Alan?
Yeah, for sure.
So, Ryan, what is or are your Chatzums for this week?
I have two. I'm going to recommend one strictly for this podcast coverage of the OA Series 2, because I think it's a very good companion, which would be the audio drama called Rabbits, which is a sci-fi neo-noir about a person investigating the disappearances of young people who are playing an ARG. I think it's would be a great companion to this particular season. I must admit, until getting ready for this podcast, I did not know more seasons came out, because they had the first season self-contained, and then you know how podcasts can be. 8 years later, a second series comes out, so I'm now going to have to check that out. So thank goodness that but it was a really good show, and it was around the similar-ish time of this, because you know I think in the air of this of the OA and around this time, people were just getting interested about like ARGs and the online and the dark web and all this kind of seedy underbelly stuff, like business, like how shady organizations are using the young people, all of that. So Rabbits would be very much worth checking out. Yes, it's a fun audio drama. I remember it being very good. And now that there's a new series of it, I may just go revisit all of it myself in prep. And the other one I would recommend is a video game. I would recommend Death Stranding, baby. I love Death Stranding. I played it last year, but it's still one that rings in my mind. What can I say? I'm a sucker for that silly old Hideo Kojima. He's my silly little guy. But Death Stranding was a very, very good game. I was very surprised because I held off because it just didn't look like my jam. I was like, I don't know about this. I'm very particular about games. Oh, well, when I say particular, I am someone who wants to play them then just doesn't. But
relatable.
I am a sucker for the Hideo Kojima, and I finished playing all of the Metal Gear games for the first time, like all of them all the way through. There was several that I didn't, and so I did that, and then I was like, you know what, I should do Death Stranding, and I gotta say, absolutely fell in love with it. We talked about Hannibal before. I think Mads Mikkelsen is fantastic in Death Stranding. It's actually one of my favorite performances from him as an actor, and he's a great actor, so take that for what it's worth. But I fell in love with that game. It's one where gameplay and narrative and how they weave together, it's just so majestic, and there's this community aspect to the game as well that I found to be a pleasant surprise. So it's definitely worth checking out. I know it won't be for everyone, but I was surprised that it was for me, and hopefully one day I'll get around to playing the second one, because I'm also an Elle Fanning fan, so I got to see her get her feet out for Hideo. So he's got to scan those feet. He's known for that. He's known for that. He's like, I got to scan your feet. But I really loved Death Stranding. I still listen to the music of Death Stranding and so on and so forth. So those are my two, Rabbits and Death Stranding.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you, Ryan, for those recommendations. Alan, what about you? What's your Chatzums for this week?
I just realized that I forgot to set my Discord mic to the one with the soundboard, so you guys have not heard me like reacting to you with soundboard clips. I did just, oh brother, this guy stinks to Ryan, just for clarity.
Well, tough shit. No one's gonna hear it now.
No, they'll hear it. Y'all won't hear it. It is on the episode for sure.
Okay.
My one Chatsum is a wonderful movie that I saw this week called Project Hail Mary. It is a new adaptation of an Andy Weir book. He also wrote The Martian, which I recently read and really enjoyed. Project Hail Mary. Ryan Gosling goes to space. Need I say more? Okay, fine, I will.
Yeah.
He has to save the planet. He's just a high school teacher, but he's the only one who can do it. And in typical Andy Weir fashion, what if a normal nerdy guy could be going to space and do things? It's very beautiful, beautifully shot, beautiful portrayal of space and space travel. It's not too depressing though. I'd actually say it leans into the comedy stuff because it's a Phil Lord and Chris Miller movie. So
yeah.
You got that sort of like Lego movie lightness, but with that like kind of Clone High grit to it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think if you're interested and you still don't know what else it's about, don't watch the trailer. The trailer spoils a really key detail of the film, which I think can sell you on the movie. But I think you might get more out of it if you don't know that particular thing that's in the trailer.
Yeah,
that's up to you to decide. But it won't ruin it for you. I knew, and I still loved the movie, and was like, man, that would have been cool to not know, but. Still, I cried. It's just hopeful. Humanity can do beautiful things together if we work together, and that's great. That's it. Magellan, Chatzum.
I over the weekend got a chance to play for the first time a tabletop RPG that I'd seen a lot of video versions of, and maybe folks out there have seen it too. It's called Dread. Dread is a game that does away with dice to resolve things and instead uses a Jenga tower. And so if your characters need to do something and the kind of game facilitator is like, oh, I don't know, there's a risk of failure, you pull from the Jenga tower. And if the tower falls over, something really bad happens to you. So yeah, we did a horror game and had a lot of fun with that. And I'm somebody who usually, if I get an opportunity to play Jenga, I leave the room because I don't like that game. But I learned that it can be fun when you're playing a better game around it to make it matter more. So Dread gets a thumb up from me.
Awesome.
I suggest everyone watch the video version of this just to see the genuine shock and then mild disdain Alan had for the Jenga hot take from Magellan there. It was quite majestic. It was a lot of, how could you say this about the precious game of Jenga? Next episode, Alan's Chatsum.
Jenga. Listen, I acknowledge that Jenga is not a well-designed game, and if you have like sound sensitivity issues, that Jenga is a nightmare for you. I have had really good memories with Jenga. Like a lot of my coworkers, we have a bar downstairs from our office and my coworkers, and I like often play Jenga after work, and that feels good. So
yeah, I always think of Uno Stacko, which is the Uno version of Jenga, where you're playing Uno and Jenga, and it's
That sounds
very
like a
fun.
fucking
It's
nightmare.
very good.
I hate Uno so much.
Wait, why? Actually, everyone cheats in Uno.
What?
That's why.
Yeah.
I
What are you
just hate
What are your
Uno.
feelings on Yahtzee?
Oh,
I
John
love
likes Yahtzee. John likes
Yahtzee
Yahtzee.
There you go.
is a
We
beautiful
found one,
game.
everyone. A classic game.
I only like the upper crust, the games that were
Pizza.
invented on a yacht. That's my favorite genre.
Yeah, a Parker Brothers game you would love. Yes, Parcheesi, the royal game of India, is very much.
Oh, are you all playing Parcheesi in there? Please save a seat for me.
Please.
Thank you so much for recommending Dread. That sounds awesome. Did you have any other Chatzums, Madil? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's it. Just Dread.
Thank you to Ryan for being the the Raheem to my Kareem, because we're in some way interdimensional twins.
That's fun.
Assuming my theory is right. And thank you, Magellan, for being the BBA to my BBL, because question mark exclamation point. I creeped Ryan out, and now I get to see that they're wearing sweatpants. Bye, everybody. See you next week. Peace.
Bye. Bye.